Yes,
Hello.
we can see your screen. Yes, financial
Okay.
management.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So let me continue. So today's topic is financial management. There's a lot on financial management. Please let today's class be engaging. I will be asking questions, and I don't mind when it's necessary. I will may stop to pause to ask questions when if it looks like we are all sleeping. So please let's not be sleepy. Let's be active. And like Messi has said, if you have any questions as we go ahead, just please quickly jot them down so that at the end of the class, we'll take up the questions and answers. All right. So financial management. Um, Let me see how many people are on the call. Please, I just want like 3 or 4 persons to tell me, what do you understand by financial management? Just in a layman's term, what is financial management? Just 1 or 2 persons, I want you to unmute. So when it comes to financial management, what comes to your mind? Financial management. Just want 1 or 2 persons to say something. Okay, money management. I can see from Godwin says it's money management. All right. Yes, that's to do with money management. Any other person, you can type in the chat box. Type in the chat box before we go ahead. It's budgeting your income. Yes, from Albert. Yes. Yeah. Budgeting of your income. Yes. Budgeting of your income involved is part of financial management. All right. So let me not waste our time because we have just about 1 hour. Transaction management and record. Yes, lovely. Thank you from Peter. Okay. All right. So I go to the next slide. So you may need to jot down because I will definitely explain more than this slide. So you may just need to jot down some things and also look up some things that I'm going to explain. All right. So financial management. Just 1 minute. From this slide, it says strategy planning, organizing, and controlling of financial resources. Yes. So I define financial management. Okay. Okay. I define financial management. I would say it refers to that aspect of management which involves planning and controlling the financial affairs of an organization to ensure that the organization achieves its objective. I say that again. It refers to that aspect of management which involves planning and controlling the financial affairs of an organization. I bring in not just organization, also individual to ensure that the organization or individual achieve its objective. Yes, so it's not just about managing the financial situation of an organization. You can as well manage your personal financial uh, transactions. So it's not just an organization. So it is necessary. It is necessary to manage your financial transaction processes and what have you, so that your the day-to-day running of your organization will be smooth, will be perfect, everything will come out well. Now, let's go further. Financial management involves a whole lot. It involves a lot. I'm still on the first slide. It talks about how much finance does the business need for its daily operations and for long-term investment projects. It also talks about where the finance should be obtained and whether it should be long-term or short-term. It talks on how to manage short-term cash surpluses and deficits. talks about how much is to be paid to dividends. That is those that have invested in company. That's what we mean by dividends. It also deals with how to protect the organization against financial risk. According to the slide, it ensures efficiency of utilization of funds. It supports organizational growth and sustainability. Yes. So in a nutshell, we have an idea of what financial management is all about. That aspect of management which involves planning and controlling the financial affairs of an organization to ensure that the organization achieves its objective. All right. Like I said, you manage your finance for the company and also as an individual. So it's not necessarily for the company alone. You can as well make sure you ensure you manage your personal finances. But we will dwell more on the company aspect. And I believe looking at the company aspect, you will be able to get some insight into also managing your personal finances and funds. Okay, all right. We go further so that we don't spend more time on this particular slide. I hope everyone can hear me. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me as I move further? All right. Thank you, Messi. All right, thank you. So I go further to the next slide. Now, I've already mentioned some of the objectives, some of the objective of financial, maybe we'll go further. Objective of financial management. Yes. For profit maximization. Profit maximization. Why do we take up financial management? Why is financial management necessary? Why is it important in an organization? Why is it important in your daily life, personal life? If we may need to digress to personal aspect, but why is financial management important? The objective for profit maximization. Yes, financial management is very important and to look into and manage properly. Because when company does, it helps the company to maximize profits. It will reduce wastage. Yes, to reduce wastage, you will be able to maximize profit. The areas and the things that are not necessary when it comes to funding, when it comes to spending, when it comes to expenses, will be dealt with. You will avoid those areas, and when you do, there will be profit maximization for the company. So if the company makes, let's say the company makes 10 million in a month, when you manage your finances very well, you will reduce spending, those spending that are not necessary, those spending that are not important for the business. You know, in a business, you have, there's what we call cost of sales. Cost of sales means the main costs, those costs that are necessary for the business to go ahead, for you to execute any project. For example, if you have a particular project that has to do with training, for instance, there are certain costs that you must incur. Cost of maybe, for example, printing the materials. Those costs, like the cost of the trainer, those are major costs. You cannot do without those costs. So at times, looking at such costs in an organization are essential because you now focus on the costs that are important. So you don't end up wasting money. You end up spending money on irrelevant expenses. Somebody may ask, what are the irrelevant expenses? Those are the expenses that are not major in the company. They are not major. I may just bring up maybe spending on a very extravagant wedding party of one of the members of the team. Well, it is necessary, but it's not very important. You can do without it. Right? You can do without it. So when some of these costs are ignored, you avoid them. at the end of the day, you end up help you to maximize your profits. So the second thing is wealth maximization. Yes, almost the same thing. Because when profit is maximized, wealth will be maximized. You have more money to look into other areas of business investment. Yes, wealth will be maximized. You diversify, you look into other areas of investment and business. And from there, you grow, the company will grow, you make more profit and more wealth. Yes. Other objective is that it ensures liquidity. It ensures liquidity, ensures the availability of funds. When we talk of liquidity, it means having enough funds to carry on your day-to-day activities of the organization, to carry on day-to-day transactions of the organization. It ensures that you have enough liquidity. You are liquid, you have more funds, you have more money in layman terms, so that for those that may not understand some of these terms, okay, I'll try and go a bit more simplified so that you get to understand. So it ensures liquidity, having more money, having more funds to carry on all your necessary responsibilities in the organizations. Then the last but not the least objective that we have here is risk management. Yes, one of the objectives is risk management. So it's one of the things that you ensure that you need to do in financial management is management of risks. Those risks that if it comes, it can affect the company. It can make the company to go down. It can make the company to lose funds. Can make the company, yes, to go into liquidation. So this is very important objective. Let's go for that because we're running out of time. So the next slide, I believe everyone can hear me, and I believe you can follow and you are understanding some of the things that we are saying about financial management. Please, I need on the chat box, can somebody just ensure that being heard as we continue? All right, thank you, Halbeta. All right, so the next slide, talk about the key functions of financial management. Key functions of financial management. Okay. Key functions of financial management. The investment decision, in bracket, capital budgeting. Investment decision, in bracket, capital budgeting. When you look at a business is it has a lot of segments, a lot of areas. It doesn't just you don't just depend on finance. There's a whole lot in a business. So you look at many areas. So because this is necessary, we look at these functions of financial management and also have in mind that there are other areas of the business. So we don't just depend on things that has to do with finance alone. So on this particular aspect, investment decision, it has to do with investment that a company may decide to take up. Investment that a company may decide to take up. Yeah, you have small and medium scale. You also have big firms. So for example, Dangote decided to go into capital investment into a refinery construction. It's a big time investment decision that he made. He didn't just stay with one company, with sugar. He didn't just stay with cement. He didn't just stay with the present companies that he had then. He went into investing in the refinery that he finally finished, and everybody's talking about it, producing fuel for the country and also exporting. So those are the investment decisions that a company can look at when it has to do with one of the functions of financial management. So that is it. So we'll talk more on it, but let's just continue. The next aspect is financing decision. So one of the aspect of financial management is financing decision. Yes, and it has to do with inviting, let's say, inviting a third party, inviting other parties to come and finance or provide some forms of loan or some forms of shares for companies that are big, so provide some forms of loan. And it has to be done in a strategic manner that you don't issue hard loan or extra party, other parties don't come into your company to provide loan, and at the end of the day, you run into problems because you have to now decide on the best ratio of loan you have to give out or them to give to buy in. For example, if you decide to have it in the ratio 30% into 70%, so you look at the share capital of the company. If the share capital of the company is 500 million, so if you decide to invite other parties to come in and be part of the share of the company, you may decide to maybe have it in the ratio 30% is to 70%. So you don't end up, selling off your company, shares to a third party, and at the end of the day, you don't make it's not profitable. I want to believe that you get to understand this particular aspect. Financing decision. For bigger firms, you heard about them, companies inviting the public to come and buy shares. In the layman's term, we call it buying of shares. So they sell their shares to the public. So that is what we have to, it all means about financing decision. So you have to now decide, and a whole lot decision around this, so that you use the right, make the right decision, the right ratio, the right calculation on this aspect. So that is one of the key functions of financial management. Okay. The next one is dividend decisions, profit distribution. So after investment, after share financing decision, we talk about dividend decision. Dividend decision. This has to just be has to do with share of profits, profit distribution for those that have invested on the company. So at the end of the year, every company that has issued out this share to the public, share to maybe short-term loan, short-term or long-term loan for external parties, make decision to share profits and dividends. So it is strategically done so that the company will not run into liquidation. You don't share all your profits. You need to know the exact percentage of profit and dividend to share to the public for those that invested in the company. All right, so let's go ahead. The next one is working capital management. Working capital management. It has to do with managing funds that are available, so that you keep on having that liquidity to make sure you manage your expenses. Working capital management. You have that funds to make sure you manage all your day-to-day running of the company. So you have to manage it properly. So at the end of the day, you don't have an issue. You don't have a problem in paying of salary. You don't have problems in fueling your generator. You don't have any issue, financial crisis in taking care of the little expenses that you have to carry out in your company. You don't have issue with funding even your projects when you have jobs. So you need to manage your working capital, manage your funds in a manner that you have a day-to-day running of the company with the necessary funds that are required and needed for you to carry out this process smoothly. All right. So key functions of the financial management. You have investment decision, you have financing decision, you have dividend decision, and you have working capital management, right? All right. I hope we all following and we can still hear me. I hope nobody is sleeping. I hope nobody is sleeping. So we still have quite some things to go ahead to share. All right, please on the chat box. Yes, thank you, Isaac. Thank you. All right, you can hear me. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. All right, so I go to the next slide. Can you see my slide? Can you see my slide? Principles of financial management. Yes, principles of financial management. Yes, principle of financial management. There should be consistency in financial decision making. I think I correct that. I think it should be written in that manner, because if I say consistency in decision making, definitely we are talking about financial decision making. So there should be consistency in decision making. If you fail to manage your finances, manage your finances in your business, definitely you will have issues. So it's one of the key principles of financial management. There is that consistency of financial decision making. All the necessary strategy of decision making, of financial decision making, has to be continuous, has to be carried out day to day and monitored properly. All right. All right. So it has to be carried out day to day and managed properly. Yes. So another principle of financial management, is risk return trade-off. Risk return trade-off. Yes. In some business, yes, when you are dealing with some investments, at times you tend to look at the risks, and you now become afraid to go further. So it happens to most businessmen. Even as an individual, there are certain things you want to go into that will invest in, that will give you some return at the end of the day, some good return. But because of fear of the risk involved, so you tend not to go further, you tend not to withdraw. At times, you now reduce maybe the size of your investment because you are afraid. So risk return trade-off has to do with investing principle, stating that to achieve higher potential return, one must typically have a higher level of risk. You just have to go with the higher level of risk, having in mind that when you succeed, there will be a high return on investment. I believe we understand that. So it's from that word, risk return trade-off. So you of course, you have to look at it strategically. You have to weigh all the risks. For example, I hope we all understand that Dangote took a big risk in going into the refinery setup, refinery construction. It was a very big risk. He lost a lot of money. You have to be ready to lose money. Let me just say, lost money, having in mind that when you start getting your return on investment, you will cover up, you will break even and make more profits. So it's one good example. Dangote investment in the refinery construction. If you listen to him, there's a lot that he talked about in the construction of the company. He said a whole lot about the construction, from the challenges, from the attacks, from the risks, the economy, international bodies, challenges, and all that. So those are the risks that he put aside looking. There's one scripture for those that are Christians. He said, you look towards the mark of the high calling. So he was looking at the return on investment. So he now did not want to bother on the high risks of losses, high risks of the money that he's going to spend, because he had in mind that in the end, he's going to have a big yield and a big return on investments. Yes, one of the principles of financial management, yes, is the risk return trade-off. I believe we all understand that. So the next is transparency and accountability, which is very, very explanatory enough. There should be transparency and accountability. There should be transparency in your transaction, transparency in financial transaction, transparency in the reporting, because this will help in decision making. Yes, where there is transparency and proper accountability, proper documentation, and record of financial transaction, yes, it will help in financial management. It will help the company to grow. It will help the company to make better decisions. Yes, better decision, and help the company to grow, grow bigger. Yes, the last point for the principle of financial management here is time value of money. Yes, time value of money. We've been hearing of time value of money in many ways, in many areas of our life, and it relates with when you talk about time value of money, inflation comes into play. It comes into our mind. While you decide, for example, while you decide to save your money in the bank, you save your money in the bank, and it has to do, most times it has to do with short-term and long-term investment, long-term funding. So if you decide to, for example, invest your funds in an investment bank, you must ensure that the return of investment after 5 years, it will still be profitable when the inflation or the economic situation or whatever comes in. Just for example, before the present administration that we have right now, dollar was below what it is. I think for those in Nigeria, dollar was I think below 400. Yes, was below 400. So let's say we had invested, or we have saved some money, invested money in investment banking before then, and just after the inflation, dollar is now 1,500. So that time value of money, so trying to just explain time value of money, you find out that at the end of the day, because of the time and time of inflation, time of economy downturn, you find out that your money, the value of your money that was invested, that was saved in the bank, doesn't it doesn't make any sense anymore. Yes, it doesn't. You can't use it to fund some of the plans or the investment that you had planned to use the funds for. For example, if you had planned that, at the end of the 5-year tenure of this investment, I will use this fund to do X, Y, Z. You find out that at the end of the 5 years, you can't make use of that money. The value of that money now becomes so small because of inflation. Yes, so these are some of the principles of financial management that you need to consider. In a company, we sometimes issue out an invoice or a quote, haven't decided that this is the job that we want to do for the client, that we want to do these services. The client now decide that it is $2,000. So when we look at the rate of currency as at that moment, fine, we use 400 as the rate of exchange, and we issue out the quotes. And the client now said, okay, we'll get back to you. So you have to consider this, because that invoice as at that moment will not have the same value after 2 months if anything happens to inflation or the rate of exchange of currency. So you have to plan. It needs critical planning uh, of this. You need critical planning because at the end of the day, the client comes up. If the client comes up in 3 months and says, "Oh, that invoice, that quote that you gave to me, please, I want to start the job now," and you now look at the value of dollar, it was done when dollar was 400, and now dollar is 1,500. You just need to quickly make some changes, and if not, you will run into problem because it will not have any value for you as at that moment. Let's quickly run because of time. The next slide, areas of financial management. Yes, areas of financial management. Corporate finance, these are company finance. Like I said when we started, personal finance. Public finance has to do with the government financing. Yes. Then we also talk about international finance. So areas where we apply financial management. Companies, that is the one that talks about corporate finance. Companies, businesses, small and medium scale businesses. Then we have personal finances. This one has to do with your personal day-to-day management of your money. For those that are salary earners, you get your salary. Let's say your salary is 50,000 or 100,000. If you do not manage it properly, you end up using it for food or for clothes. So you just have to manage it properly. You have to be able to structure it accurately so that you know which is going for food, which is going for transport, which if it's necessary for you to buy clothes or to also save, because you have to save, you have to invest. Public finance, this has to do with government finance, where government draw budgets at the end of the year and all that. So at the end of the day, you find out that, like in Nigeria, we end up been dealing with a deficit budget because we keep on spending more than what we have or the income that comes in. Same thing with international financing. You have some of the international banking system, agri-development banks. Those are some of those institutions when it comes to international financing. So let's quickly move because of time. So the next is the tools and the techniques. This is a very critical part. Although because of time, we just need to explain, and I will advise that you look up to this particular slide when we are done, because we can't exhaust this. This is a whole topic on its own. It can take a whole day. So the tools and the techniques that are used when you are dealing with financial management. The tools and the techniques that are used. Quickly, ratio analysis. Yes, we have ratio analysis. We have budgeting and forecasting. We have cash flow analysis. We have break-even analysis. I'll quickly run through them. Ratio analysis, these are analyses that you need to consider to help in decision-making, your financial decision-making. There are different ratios. Yes, different ratio analysis. We talk about the liquidity ratio. Yes, you look at liquidity ratio, whereby you look at your availability of funds in an organization. It helps you to decide how you spend your funds and all that. So you talk about leverage ratio, there's efficiency ratio, there's profitability ratio, there's market value ratio. These are some of the tools under ratio analysis that you need to look up to and consider to help you in your decision making when dealing with financial management. Like I said, this is under ratio analysis. You have a whole lot of them. If you can look up to some of them online or to some of them on your spare time. Financial books have liquidity ratio, leverage ratio, efficiency ratio, profitability ratio, market value ratio, there's gearing ratio, working capital ratio. There are quite many. Yes, they are all tools that you use in calculating some of these financial transactions so that you know how much to spend, how much to invest, how much to put up as profit. Yes, consider the market value so that you make the right decision. Yes, let me move faster. We have budgeting and forecasting. Yes, yes, this is very common. We all make budgets, individual budgets, especially when we get our income, we get our salary, we do business and we get our profit. Yes, we have to draw up budgets and forecast, make forecasting so that you don't end up spending money on the wrong things. So you draw a budget for example, in a company, you draw a budget for the salary that you are going to pay your staff members. You draw a budget to consider all the expenses of the company, the internet expenses, the generator, purchase of assets, yes, and also investment of some of those funds. So everything you do under the budget is one of the tools that are very, very important. You draw up a list of expenses based on the income that comes into the organization. You draw up a list of income which you have already proposed that you are going to make, and also all the expenses. You forecast some of those expenses. You draw it up so that you will not overshoot your boundaries, like people normally say. You make money. You just have to make sure you have a budget of these funds distribution. Yes. So next is cash flow analysis. You draw up this to manage your cash flow, yes, in an organization. Yes, manage how you spend your money. You definitely know the areas of that money is going to be spent. So it will help you to manage your funds, your cash flow, so that you on day-to-day activity, you don't run out of cash. Be able to manage your cash flow effectively. Yes, one of the tools of financial management. The next one is break-even analysis. In a layman's term, break-even, we all know what it is. When you get to that level whereby you do not make profit and you do not make loss. Yes, it's one of the tools. It's not the best. It's not the best for any firm. Best. It was when you go below break-even level. When you go break-even level. Quickly explanation on that. Let's say you are involved in a particular project and the project is 5 million. And there are a lot of expenses you need to incur to make sure you execute the project, you finish the job, and ensure that you make profit. But as time goes on, maybe due to some inflation situation that comes in, you end up spending more on that particular project. If you are not careful, you spend more than the income that comes in. So it's one of the tools that you need to manage properly so that you at worst case you break even and not run into loss. So it's one of the tools called break even analysis. And when you consider this, it will help you. Instead of breaking even, you even make a profit and you go further. So let me quickly move to the next slide because of time. Role of a financial manager. The role of financial manager. Yes, quite explanatory, but I'll just quickly touch on these topics. Planning and forecasting. Just what we discussed the previous slides. You can still understand this part. Planning and forecasting. Planning and forecasting. The financial manager definitely ensures planning and forecasting of finances. So the next one is fundraising and allocation. This, well, a small business medium scale business. Yes, they can still engage in this particular area. But for big firms, it has to do with issue of shares, yes, issue of long-term funds, all those fundraising, lists. Yeah, yes, has to be considered here by financial manager. Yes, he also has to consider risk analysis and control. He has to look at the possible risks that may come in through financial management and manage it properly, manage it and control it properly so that the company doesn't run into liquidation. And the next is compliance and reporting. So reporting for decision making, the necessary reports for decision making is very vital. So he handles those areas. Compliances to federal compliances like Federal Inland Revenue Services, payment of taxation, filing to the Corporate Affairs Commission. Those compliances are some of those roles are duty of the financial manager. Yes, he has to provide report, income statement, uh, uh, debtors report, creditors analysis, balance sheets, which we call a financial position of the company, cash flow analysis, budget, and all that. So that is the role of the finance manager. Okay, we go to the next slide. We go to the next slide, and it says challenges in financial management. Let me quickly run through these challenges in financial management. Economic uncertainty, that's one of the challenges. We look at our country as a case study. The economy situation is very uncertain. Yes, so you have to consider this when you are making financial decision. Like I said, the interest rate changes, which is even the next topic, in the next point, inflation and currency fluctuation. Yes, one of the challenges is another challenge in financial management. You have to be very careful when dealing with funds and finances because of inflation and currency fluctuation. You are making a quote, you are drawing up an invoice to a foreign company. You have to consider make room for inflation, make room for currency fluctuation when you are into this. Fraud and financial mismanagement. Very critical. Fraud and financial mismanagement. This is one key challenge in financial management. Fraud and financial mismanagement. Case study, let's just look at the country. Everybody has been talking about financial mismanagement in the country, mismanagement of our taxpayers' money, fraud, yes, people stealing money, taking money, misappropriation of funds, inflation of expenses. They decide to maybe do a particular road and the road costs 10 million and they wake up to say the road is 50 million, inflation of project and all that. So these are challenges in financial management. So same thing is applicable in companies that we need to look into critically. Balancing growth with liquidity. Yes, balancing growth with liquidity. Somebody will be saying, what does it really mean? When you look at balancing growth with liquidity, if you want to grow, you want to invest, you need to be careful that you now don't invest, let's say, on the wrong businesses, and it will now affect your growth. It will now affect your liquidity. So you need to balance it. You definitely need to balance it. Like I always want to use this example of Dangote when he went into the construction of refinery. He definitely had balanced his growth and ensure that other uh, sister company doesn't run into liquidation. So you have to balance your growth. In as much as you want to grow, you want to invest and grow, you have to balance things and ensure you are still able to manage and fund your business. Yes. Next slide, quickly. Best practices in financial management. Yes. Best practices in financial management. Maintain strong internal control. Yes. You have to maintain strong internal control with some of those tools that I just mentioned. You have to maintain strong internal controls with the right tools. Now we have AI in play. So those some of those extra tools will help us to uh, maintain strong internal control, use the right tools, generate reports using the right softwares. Yes. Next is diversify investments. Yes. Best practice in financial management. Yes. You diversify, you go into other businesses, go into other investments. Yes. Opening other companies that you have knowledge of to bring you more money so that you grow, the company grows, and that's when we talk about wealth maximization and profit maximization. So the next one is leverage technology and analytics. Yes, I just talked about AI. So you leverage on technology, you leverage on those tools, those applications that will help the company to grow, help you to manage the financials accurately. Yes, you leverage on those technologies, you leverage on those tools, leverage on AI tools that has to do manage finances properly. Yes, then the next is continuous monitoring and evaluation. Continuous monitoring and evaluation of your financials. Continuous monitoring and evaluation of your financials. These are the best practices when dealing with financial management. Yes. Well, for now, I stop here. Thank you so much. And I want to request that we ask questions. Questions, questions, questions. I believe we can still hear me. I want someone to say something. Can you still hear me? Please. Yes. Rick Godwin said yes. That is beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, now we need questions. So we've been talking on financial management. Basics. These are the basics. Because when you want to go further, it's very broad. It's very wide. Yes, it's very, very wide. So I believe you all learned quite a lot on financial management. You learned a lot on the objective, yes, on the key function of financial management, principle of financial management, areas of financial management, tools and techniques. Yes, somebody is saying, can AI, okay, let me quickly go to the question aspect. Yes, keep your questions coming. We have a few more minutes so that we can take them. Let me see. All right, so we deal with role of financial management, challenges, and all that. So let me stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat box easily. Okay. All right, so okay. So your questions, questions. Okay, can AI give you accurate financial forecasting? Yes, it can. You know, you just have to choose the right AI tool. And everything has to do with the programming. Yes, if you choose the right AI tool, yes, it can give you accurate financial forecasting. Of course, you need to, they normally say what you garbage in is what you get. You know, when you are using AI, like you want to even edit a picture, it is the picture that you put in that AI is going to use in modifying it and give it back to you. So if you put in the right information, put in the right financial information, it can give you to a greater extent It may not be 100%, but over 90%, up to 90% accuracy of financial forecasting. More questions. I need more questions. I need more questions. More questions, please. More questions. I need more questions to come in before we round up. Or do you want me to ask my question? More questions before we round up, please. More questions. Because we are almost out of time, so we need to round up. So I need questions to come in.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wisdom. Thank you very much for an amazing session.
All right, thank you so
Please,
much.
if we don't, let's ask Mr. Wisdom any questions. Mr. Wisdom is a financial genius, and this is an opportunity we have to pick his brains. So, for the last time, if you have any questions, please let's ask Mr. Wisdom.
If they don't have questions, please, I need your take home on this topic. I need, how many of us are here? We have 16. Please, I need at least 5 persons to talk about their take home. Somebody said he's not able to use his mic.
Okay, yes. So now you can try unmuting yourself.
Question,
yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, hello, Humphrey speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you for the lecture, sir.
You're welcome.
So my question goes like this: how can an organization institutionalize financial management? I mean, make it as integrated into the management
The
of the organization.
You are saying how can an organization
integrate financial management as a kind of standard for the organization? Build it institute it into, integrate it into the management processes of
most organizations do. They do. Most organizations do. They just need to have the best strategy, the best structure, and the best tools and best strategy and best structure in place. They do, but it may not be of standard.
Okay.
Do you understand? That is why they give report, they write their reports. Are you getting me? Even small and medium scale do. Are you getting me? But bigger firms do better. Yes. It's just for them to have a management, top management, to make sure they instigate this and to ensure that it is fully implemented. Are you getting me?
Yes. So does it mean that an office should be created for that?
Not necessarily. Financial management mostly is managed by the finance department.
Okay.
Yes, the accountant and the finance department and top management. Top management. They definitely do. You know, financial management is not something that at times when they hold such meetings and hold such, they don't need to announce it to almost everybody. You know, it has to do with finance. So they do. They do. It's just for them to make sure they ensure that all the necessary tools, all the necessary steps, all the best practice and the best way to manage their finance are taken into consideration. All right, and I would advise if there's any company that doesn't, it should definitely instigate this into its management and its day-to-day running of the company. They do. All right, thank you. More questions, and I need your take home on this.
Thank you, Mr. Wisdom.
Yes.
I have a question. Rick speaking here.
Okay, Rick.
Yeah, okay, what would be your advice for a new organization? How would you advise them to set up their financial will I say structure is a new organization, and they are unclear as to how to run you were earlier saying about accounting, and you were trying to answer the question.
Yes. Yes.
You were trying to answer the question.
A new,
Yeah.
yes, I think I get your questions. Let me quickly come in so that we can wrap up. A new organization, is it a small firm or a big firm? Because you said new. Is it a small or a big
It's a
firm?
medium. It's a medium.
Medium, yes.
Yes.
Number one, you can decide to outsource your your accounting if you want to, but most times it's not always advisable for companies that are big. It's companies that are small. For bigger firms, they can engage a consultant, can engage an auditor to come in, and you may not need to pay much because you just need his advice. Just need his advice to just lay out the necessary structure, necessary things that you need to do. So if you get engaged an auditor or a financial expert, he will just come in and lay down the necessary things that you need to, basic things, necessary things that you need to put in place so that your company can kick up and you have a smooth running of the financial system in your organization, right? Right from getting the right the record of financial activities, how you are going to manage your reporting. Are you getting me? The basic report that you are going to draw up, you're going to prepare the basic report and how to record your financial activities and how to manage your relationship with the external bodies like the tax authorities. These are very essential areas that you need to consider because you can't deal without those tax authorities. If you just start your business and you start making money and start spending money, before you know it, the tax people will come to your doorstep and it will be an issue. So those basic things are necessary. And if you engage an external body to come in to give you this advice, it will be necessary. It will make more sense and it will help you in your business. All right.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Just a second. Would you also advise a periodic? From what you have said, if I understand very clearly, you are asking that prior to the setup, an external auditor does gives you a template of how you should run the finance department, and you have an accountant or a clerk that runs that, and then do you advise a periodic checkup of whether that template is being carried out according to how it is, just like you advise that, sir?
Yes, yes, I could advise that. I could advise that. Yes. You know, for example, in our company, we do a complete system audit of processes. So we do a complete system audit of processes. So it's necessary. It all depends on the top management, which is necessary that from time to time, maybe quarterly, they come in to assess the process of the financial team, financial management processes. Yes, it's very necessary. Very necessary. I agree.
Thank you very
Like
much.
I said, in our firm, we have system audit, system audit of the entire system, not even the financial department alone. Audit of the entire system, just to ensure that the right processes, best practice are being followed. Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Rick, for that question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So in the absence of no other questions, one or two persons, what is your take home on today's topic, very interesting topic, financial management? What is your take home so that we can round up and wrap up today's class? Hello, can anyone hear me? We talked about financial management of the company. You still have gotten some insight into even managing of your personal funds, personal finances. So basic has been discussed. So you can type into the chat box one word. What is your take home while we bring this to a beautiful close?
Manisa.
Yes, good morning. Go ahead, please.
Kayode,
Mr.
thanks for
Kayode,
the
yes, Oluyemi, yes.
wonderful presentation.
Yes.
I
Thank
get that the importance of financial management cannot be overemphasized in any
Exactly.
organization,
Exactly.
because every organization is in business to make profit. And if this is not properly taken care of, then such an organization can find himself in big problem, ranging from how revenue are made and recognized, then managing the overhead and expenses. I think that is some of the things that I would say I gain from what you have said. Thanks.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One more point, one more take home from one of us before we bring this to a close. Already running to extra time, maybe because we started a bit late. One more person, you can type into the chat box. One more person, and fill up your attendance. I believe we've all done that. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Mercy. All right.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Mr. Wisdom. Please, a
Bring
round of
us to the end
applause
of
to
the class.
him.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Please, a round of applause to our first trainer. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Alberta. Thank you so much. All right. So without further waste of time, we'll be going into our next session. And the person who will be taking the next session is none other than Alberta Zoe. And she will be taking us on procurement and supply chain. Hello, ma'am. Please, if you can hear me, can you say something? Okay, please, Boma, can you unmute her? Can you make her a co-host so she can take it over from here? Okay, please, you can go ahead now. Mama Alberta, are you there? You can unmute yourself now. Okay, we can't hear you speak. Please, can you unmute yourself and speak?
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Yes, you are welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Please, you can take it over from here.
All right, let me share my screen. Please, can you all see my screen? Hello?
Not yet, not yet. Nothing is coming up at the moment.
Betty, please, can you help me share from your end? I've shared, but I don't know why it's not showing.
All right, that's fine. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Mercy. So
Pleasure.
welcome everyone to today's session. And my name is Alberta Newman. I'll be taking everyone through procurement and supply chain. So whether you are new to this concept or not, please listen and acquire some knowledge to make you a smarter, faster, and more resilient decision maker as a manager in your various organizations. Are we good? Can I start? Hello.
Yes, we are. You can go ahead.
All right. I want to see some comments in the chat room just for me to know that you are following. All right, that's good. Because of time, I would like us to just look at this scenario. So assuming you buy a product online or you request for a service and it has been delayed or the service also did not arrive on time, what do you think went wrong? Kindly put your answers in the chat room before I begin. Can I take it again? Assuming you bought a product online or you requested for a service, but the product delayed or the service didn't arrive on time. Can you just tell me briefly what you think went wrong? Are we all here, please? All right, Isaac says we are following. All right, that's okay. So what is procurement and supply chain management? So a brief introduction whilst you look at the screen as well. We're going to be fast because of time. Okay, so what comes to your mind when we talk about procurement? All right, Isaac, that's fine. What comes into your mind when you hear about procurement and supply chain management? Can anybody unmute and just share with me one or two? Are we all in class?
Hello, ma'am.
All right, Isaac, please go ahead.
So, thank you, ma'am. So, to my understanding of procurement is to buying and selling of goods of goods and keeping proper records of it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Asari. Anyone else? What comes into your mind when you hear about procurement? Anyone? Okay, Shadrach says procurement is about sourcing materials for a business for production. Thank you so much. Great. So let's go ahead. So procurement has to do with buying smart or figuring out what your company needs, assuming you own a company. So figuring out what your company needs. It's also about finding the best suppliers who can offer good quality at fair prices. Please take note, good quality at fair prices. So not just in supplier, but get suppliers who can offer the goods you are requesting for at a good quality and at a fair price. That's okay. It also has to do with negotiating. So don't just buy, if they say it's, for instance, it's 10 Ghana cedis from Ghana here, don't just buy, but you can actually negotiate to see if you can get the product or the item at 5 Ghana cedis. Are we following? All right. It also has to do with making sure deliveries arrive on time. And also has to do with building strong relationships with your suppliers. Great. So what we can see on the screen is saying the procurement. What is procurement? Sourcing goods or services with a focus on cost. As I mentioned, in Ghana, if the product is 10 Ghana cedis, you can actually negotiate and get it at a cheaper cost. All right. Then quality, it also looks at quality, not just buying anything because even the price is less, but make sure that whatever you are buying, because you have the purchasing power, it's of good quality, right? And also the product conforms to regulatory standards, compliance here. Great. So what is the meaning of supply chain? Anybody, please drop your answers in the chat room. What comes into your mind when you hear about supply chain management? Just one person, please. Are we in class? All right, everybody seems to be quiet. That's okay. So supply chain is about moving the product from the raw material stage to the finished stage. Are we getting it? It has to do with planning ahead, getting your raw materials from various vendors or various suppliers, also producing the goods, you understand, also transporting them from the factory to the shops or to the client's place, right? Okay, supply chain also has to do with handling returns and complaints. So in a nutshell, supply chain management is a journey, you understand, it's a journey from the raw material stage towards or to the final consumer, who is the customer or the client. So together we can say that procurement and supply chain brings efficiency, resilience, and value delivery. Great. Can we move to the next slide? Thank you, Preeti. I can see your comments in the chat room. Thank you so much. All right, so we are looking at the importance of procurement and supply chain. All right. Okay, one of them is it reduces costs and increases efficiency. What do we understand by this point? If we say procurement and supply chain reduces costs and increases efficiency. Anybody? Okay, so let's use a scenario. Assuming I'm about to organize a wedding, I don't need to wait to the last minute before I start buying my items, my food and drinks. I need to plan ahead so that I wouldn't waste more money and waste also a lot of time in the preparation of the wedding, right? Okay, so when it comes to business sense, procurement helps companies avoid overspending by negotiating better deals. Supply chain ensures everything flows smoothly. Are we together, please? All right. Let's look at another importance of procurement and supply chain. So we are saying that it strengthens supplier relationships. Thank you, Edward. It strengthens supplier relationship. What is this point referring to? What do we mean by this? If we say that procurement and supply chain actually strengthens supplier relationship. I mentioned in the earlier introduction that you shouldn't just buy from one vendor or a supplier. You should have multiple of suppliers so that you can actually get the product at a good cost. So what's the importance of this point? Strengthen supply relationships. Anybody?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's fine. So in the business sense, strong supply.
Sorry.
Okay, somebody wants to talk.
Yeah. You talk about
Somebody
suppliers,
unmuted.
Rick on the line. You talk about suppliers
Okay, Edward.
relationship. For me, what I'm looking at is if you have a constant relationship in buying from one, if you have an opportunity of buying from one supplier, you buy one, two, and you constantly buy from him, it will come to a point where if you as an organization do not have money or funds to meet that particular supplier because of the relationship that you have with that supplier, he can be able to give you credit. And in some cases, if you even have the money, you could just say, okay, well, I won't be able to pay you out right now 100%. I'll give you 50% upfront, and the supplier can still supply you with your whatever, whether it's a good or services. That's so. Just trying to make some point. I don't know if
Great. It makes sense. Thank you so much, Edward. Or just to add up to what Edward said, in fact, if you have more than one suppliers, you will not be taken by surprise. You know, some of the suppliers, sometimes they can actually fail you. You understand? And failing you means that your buyers or your customers will also not be happy with you. So it's good to have a number of suppliers so that the relationship can be stronger and better. Thank you. So we move to the third point. We are saying that procurement and supply chain actually improves product quality and delivery timelines. Right? So in business, we're saying that good procurement ensures you choose your suppliers who meet quality expectations. You understand? Don't just buy from a supplier because he gives it to you at a cheap cost. No, it's going to affect your business. Try and buy from those who give you the products at a high quality, you get me. So for instance, if I own a school and I give a contract to somebody who sews, you understand, I have to make sure that the person delivering maybe the school items or the school uniforms actually uses good fabrics, you understand, to produce the uniforms or the jerseys for the students. You understand? So it improves product quality and delivery timelines, and also work with people that can actually deliver on time. Some suppliers can fail you, but then if you have a number of them and you use them frequently, you can know those who will not fail you. So that's one of the important things we have to look out for as managers or somebody that you're planning to own a business. Look at all these things, have all these things in mind so that it will help you to have informed decisions when dealing with a supplier. Are we right? Are we okay? All right, the last thing is that procurement and supply chain. Oh, my screen is off. Messi. Hello, Messi. Hello. Can everybody hear me? Okay, let me just use mine.
Yes,
Can we hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think the screen went off, so I'm going to use mine, but it has to be shared. Messi, please, are you back? Okay, so we are saying one importance of procurement and supply chain is that it supports business continuity and competitiveness. Are we okay? What does this mean? Anybody has any idea? Procurement and supply chain, it actually supports business continuity and competitiveness. Any idea, please? Okay, so let's use an example. During the COVID time, most of the shops actually ran out of hand sanitizers. This is because maybe, hello? Somebody want to say something? Hello, sir. Is somebody talking, please? I didn't hear that, please. I was on the importance of procurement and supply chain. Do you want to say something, please?
Maybe the screen is not, we're not
Oh, they
seeing
are not
this.
following me. Yes. I tried sharing, but I couldn't. That's why I asked Messi to help me with it. Is Messi on the call, please? Hello, ma. Hello.
Mercy is not
Okay.
here. I don't know if she's on this screen.
I'm
Let
not
me check.
sure Mercy is here, so let me try to speak with them, or you can send it to me. Either do you have the slide, or you can send it to me. I can open it for you, or send it to Larry, and Larry can share it for you.
Yes, Doc. I'm doing that
You
right
can
away.
also speak though. All right.
Okay, it's back. It's back. Thank you. Hello, sir. Dr. Please is back. So let me go to where I was.
Operational data, these are the transactions. Let's say you are
the screen is back, so I would just want to go to the slide, the importance of procurement and supply chain. Wow. A lot of screen is showing here. But notwithstanding, just a minute while I share it with Doctor.
like what type of save in a situation whereby baby toys, right? Lot of baby toys. Toy car you sold, in particular did you sell?
All right, Ms. Anson, please, if you're on the call, I've just shared it with you.
Right, that's where we have this, okay, for particular, this is the name of the product, which is toy car. This is the amount we sold it for. This is the amount it's meant to go for. This is the profit we make of this sales.
All right. Okay, I can see your screen. Thank you, Messi. All right. Thank you, Boss Larry. All right. So I was on the last point of the importance of procurement and supply chain. So I was giving I was using the real-time example to explain this point. I was saying that during the COVID-19, we realized that most of the shops were actually running out of hand sanitizers and other items. And this could be that they were actually depending on one supplier. Yes, please.
Sorry, man. There's another recording going at the background. Could that person mute the phone or something?
Exactly. I don't know who is actually. Okay, I think it's better. Edward, is it better, please?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I think it started again.
I mean, this is where
Back now.
Buma, can you please mute yourself?
All right, thank you, Ma. All right, so I'll actually explain the fourth point and the importance of procurement and supply chain. So I was saying that during the COVID-19, we realized that most shops were actually running out of hand sanitizers. And this could be that a reason to that would be that maybe they were actually depending on just one supplier. They had no backup supplier. And that's what happens when you don't have a backup supplier. So it's important that as you're sourcing for raw materials or finished products, make sure you have a number of suppliers just to avoid this and just to make sure that you are actually still in business and your competitors don't actually go ahead of you. Thank you. Can we have the next slide? We're going to look at the key procurement processes. The next, all right, thank you. We are looking at the key procurement processes. Yes, so we are saying one of them is identifying needs. Good, so let's use another scenario that we can all relate with. Okay, so assuming I own a school and then I identify that maybe the science lab, okay, actually lacks certain things in the lab. It's my duty as the owner of the school to liaise with maybe the procurement manager to identify this need one and make sure that that need is actually provided for the smooth running of the school. Right, so another example could be that as a woman, you don't always waste, so you run out of kitchen items, tomatoes, pepper, and what have you. Make sure anytime you go to the market, you actually identify a need or remember a need that you lacked so that you can replace them, right? You plan ahead. So when you identify your needs, it helps you to actually plan ahead. Great, so we are looking at another key procurement process. All right, thank you. No, please, back to the, I'm not done. Yes, thank you. We're looking at another item under the procurement process. We are saying the supplier evaluation and selection. Can anybody tell me what comes into your mind when you hear about supplier evaluation and selection under procurement?
All right. Okay, Ma, thank you. Can I speak, Rick, on the line?
Yes, please. Edward, you can go ahead.
Right. Earlier on, you spoke about having suppliers, multiple suppliers in the event so that you don't get stranded in providing services or goods. In this case, when for example, let me give you a scenario. Say, for example, you are setting up a new office and you need some furnishing in that office. So you ask that you get some quotations from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or supplier A, B, C, and D, and then you evaluate based on the items that is there and the prices that are there. And after you probably have come up with the ones that fit either your budget or your expectation, then you go to the next phase of selection. That is my understanding about that.
Great, great. Thank you, Edward. Does anyone have anything to add to that? Are we in class, please? I hope we are not sleeping. Are we in class? All right. Okay, Shadrach, supplier evaluation and selection is about right quality and cost effective. Great, anyone else? All right, so it has to do with this point actually talks about comparing different suppliers to choose from or to choose the best one, the best supplier you want to move with or you want to deal with, right? So another example, let's say, okay, assuming a hospital needs beds, okay? I'm sure we can all relate with this. Assuming a hospital needs beds, Ideally, you should receive quotations or invoices from more than one supplier so that you can choose from one. You understand? Having in mind the quality, having in mind the cost, you understand, and having in mind as well that that supplier can actually deliver on time, right? Okay, let's go to the next point that talks about contract negotiation. What does this mean? It simply means agreeing on terms such as price, yes, delivery time, warranty, if there are any warranties, and penalties. You understand? You need to agree with the supplier based on these things so that you're not taken by surprise, right? Okay, so let's use an example. Assuming, okay, let's assume a construction firm wants okay, no, let's assume I want to build a house and I need cement at the moment. Well, I've identified one supplier I want to buy from. I have to make sure that the price is okay. You understand? I have to also make sure, do my background checks and know whether that supplier actually delivers on time. And that's if they even give any warranty or if there's any penalties. I have to know all these things ahead of time. And if there are such terms, I have to make sure that I see them in writing, maybe upon the time that the delivery is being made to my site, right? Are we following? All right, so the last one has to do with purchasing and payment management as a key procurement process. Any idea? Has anybody heard about this point before? Great. Okay, so this explains placing the order, tracking delivery, and making sure payments are made correctly and on time. So purchasing and payments actually looks at all those things. You place your order, you make sure it's tracked, it has been moved from the warehouse or the factory to your site. You must track all those things and make sure that payments are also made correctly and on time. Let's look at another example to explain this. So assuming, okay, I own a restaurant, let's say, okay, and it's weekend and I need 50 crates of maybe bottled water. So as a manager, I have to make sure that I actually consult or contact the supplier whom I buy the water from, make sure I tell him or her that I actually need the water to be delivered on this date. Let's say today 18th, I need it maybe at this time, let's say by 7 a.m. my restaurant is open. So I actually want the delivery to be made at that time, you understand? And after payments, I make sure that, you understand, I record everything as well, just for audit purposes. So you not just purchase and make payments, but make sure that as a manager or an aspiring manager, you keep track of all these things in your own books, right? Let's move to the next slide because of time. I hope you are following. Right. Okay, so we're going to look at some key supply chain components. One of them is sourcing and procurement. This means finding and buying the raw materials or products for your business or what your business needs. So you identify that your business needs, let's say, beds as a hospital. So it's about finding where to get the beds and buying the beds. Are we okay? All right, let's use another example. Okay, let's say Coca-Cola here in Ghana wants to produce a new beverage. What do they have to do in terms of sourcing and procurement? It means that they should actually have a number of suppliers or vendors that they can actually source the raw materials for that new product. They should have a number of them, you understand, have a number of them that they can actually work with. And before sourcing, bear in mind to compare prices. And that's why from the beginning, we've been saying that don't just deal with one vendor or a supplier, but have multiple of vendors or suppliers. And it comes with its consequences if you don't do that, right? Okay, so we're looking at production and manufacturing. Okay, Messi said I've looked. Okay, no, that's not for me. That's okay. So we are looking at production and manufacturing. What's the meaning of this point? Anybody have any idea? All right, so it has to do with turning raw materials into finished products. Okay, another example. I'm trying to use a lot of examples so we can all relate, because we have younger people on this call. We have people who are aspiring to own businesses. We have people who are actually working in their own firms or own companies. So it's just an addition to make you smarter and faster in your decision making. So I like to use more examples. Okay, let's assume I own a local bar, and one of my services is actually juicing, right? Okay, so once I return from the market, I have to wash, peel the fruits and juice them and bottle them, right? And place my labels on them. Yes, assuming I do this business with my kids or my children, it means that they're going to help they are going to help me in this process, step by step or stage by stage, right? Right? Are we following? So that has to do with the production and manufacturing, right? Okay, another example. Can anybody give me another example? Are we in class? Hello? Can we all hear me? It looks like the class is so quiet. Am I being heard,
Yes,
please? Yes, yes. All
yes,
right.
can hear you.
Thank you.
Can hear you.
Thank you. That's good. Okay, so key supply chain and company. Thank you. I'm seeing all your comments in the chat room. It has to do with warehousing and logistics. So this has to do with storing products safely and moving them from one place to another. So let's still use my juicing company or my local bar. So for instance, after freezing my juices, I have to distribute them to the various customers or the supermarkets that buy from me, right? Some customers would prefer coming to pick the juices from my home or from my shop. At the end of the day, I just need to record all the inventory and delivery made on that day. So warehousing and logistics actually looks at all these components of supply chain, right? Okay, let's move to distribution and customer service. Okay, so it's about getting the products to the customer, sorry. It's about getting the products to the customers and handling their feedback, sorry, and complaints. As an owner of a company, just don't be interested in just producing the items and just transporting or letting them get to your customers, but have in mind or have in place a service, you understand, where customers can actually bring feedback from your products, what they think the products lacks or share their experiences with the products and actually complaints, you understand. So as a good manager or somebody aspiring to own a business or run a business, make sure that you have this in mind to make you efficient, right? Okay. So let's move to the next slide, please. Challenges in procurement and supply chain. The next one, please. The next one, please. Great. So there are a number of challenges when it comes to procurement and supply chain management, but we're going to look at these 5 that you can all see on your screen. Okay, so the first one, all right, thank you, Shadrach. I read your comments. All right, so the first challenge that you are likely to face as a manager or as an aspiring owner of a business is supplier risks and disruptions. I think we mentioned that earlier, but can somebody elaborate on it or share his view on this point? Supplier risks and disruptions. What comes to your mind when you hear this point as a challenge? All right. So this has to do with suppliers actually failing to deliver due to various reasons. It could be strikes, right? It could be bankruptcy, it could be poor quality or global issues. So because of these risks, your suppliers actually fail to deliver to you. So you as a manager, you should have all this in mind. And that's why we keep saying that actually source or have multiple vendors so that when this challenge comes, what to do and doesn't shut down your business, right? Okay, let's move to the next point. That talks about rising costs and inflation. Can somebody explain this, please? Rising costs and inflation, please. It's a challenge that you are likely to be confronted with. So as we are learning all this, you should have in mind what to do as a manager or to be a manager when you are confronted with all this. Rising costs and inflation. What do we understand by this? Okay, so price of goods and services keep increasing due to inflation, and that can affect you. You understand? So you should have in mind that these things can actually happen. You understand? And that's why we are saying that have a number of vendors to work with. You understand? All right, so let's move to the next point. Geopolitical and regulatory pressures. So here we are looking at, let's say, you do a business or you own a business in a location where there are changing laws frequently. And so these things can actually delay or block the supply chain operations. So what do you do, or what can you do to curb this challenge should it happen? Maybe due to the location where you operate, you understand there's some changing laws, and these can actually affect your operations, your supply chain operations. What can you do as a manager? You need to plan ahead. You need certainly to plan ahead, right? Are we in class? Okay, Beauty says rising in cost of goods. Okay, so let's look at demand variability. What's the meaning of this point? What comes to your mind when you hear demand variability as a challenge that you are likely to face as a manager? All right, so this point actually explains that there's an explanation to this point. Okay, so this is when customers' demands keep changing. You know, customers may demand this today and then another thing maybe tomorrow. So you need to have all this in mind when you are producing. You get it? So sometimes it can be high. Their demands can be high. Sometimes also too low. And mix and all these things actually affects your planning. So you must have in mind that customers' demands are likely to change, right? Okay, so let's use an example. Sure. Okay, so we all realize that during the Harmattan season, intake of water is low. So if you produce water or you're a water producing company, you must have this in mind during the Harmattan season so that you don't produce in excess, because definitely demand in purchasing water will be low. So you must have all these things in mind. And then also have in mind that when it's in the rainy season, a lot of people want to take a lot of water. So during those times as well, you must also plan ahead and then have a lot of bottled water produced so that your customers can always get them when they come to you, right? All right, so let's move to the last challenge here. We can see sustainability concerns. Sustainability concerns is a challenge in procurement and supply chain. Anybody having an idea on this point? The class is too quiet, please. What comes into our minds? Okay, sorry, please help me.
Yeah, so okay, thank you, ma. Yeah, so to me, with sustainability, what comes to mind is maintaining probably the quality, quantity, and probably the distribution channel, maintaining it. If it's not well sustained enough, it can create some challenges in the supply and procurement channel. Thank you.
The supply chain, great, great. Anybody else? Anybody else? Sustainability concerns. Okay, Humphrey says sustainable, responsible manufacturing. Great. All right. Somebody else wants to talk. Farm,
Yes,
please.
okay. Thank you very much. For example, in terms of let's use the bottled water
Okay.
That you gave as an instance earlier on.
Okay.
I'm thinking about the factors that affect the bottled water manufacturing company, for example, the environment.
Sure.
So it need constant the environment there should be a concern for the owner of the business, so to speak. There are constant environmental impact that if it's not taken care of, it can affect the good or the production of that water. I'm just trying to
Exactly.
for lack of words. Hope I don't know.
I get you. Okay, so thank you so much. So we see that most companies here in Ghana are actually switching from plastic packaging form to a more friendly, eco-friendly packaging means. Yes, so there's actually batteries or adds to what you just explained. That's good. I see that we are following. Next slide, please. Let's look at the best practices we can all adapt or you can think about as you plan to own a business or run your company. Great. All right, so some best practices we can all adapt is building strong supplier partnerships. So we've spoken about this from the beginning. Can somebody add 1 or 2 words to it? We're running out of time, so please let's be brief. Building strong supplier partnership as a best practice you can adapt. Great, so here I'm just saying that don't just buy and forget the supplier, but build a long-term trust-based relationship with the supplier. So in the event that somebody gave an example that you don't have money to buy immediately, your supplier can actually release the items for you. Great. Okay, let's move to the next point. Another best practice that we can all adapt as we plan of opening our business or improving things in our business lines. Great, so use technology and data analytics. Great, so what does this mean? We are in a tech world, so what does this mean? Anybody? What comes into your mind as a best practice you can adapt?
Hello, ma.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay.
All right, please. Please go ahead. Okay, Pretty.
Okay.
All right. That's okay. Isaac, please go ahead. Pretty comes next. Okay.
Okay. So I think in recent times this has been very dormant, very prominent. I'm sorry. This has been very in our current era. I think technology is ruling much of our activity of the day. So using technology and data analytics to monitor the trends, to make some analysis of the product or the processes makes it make it one of the best practice to check our performance or evaluate our performance in terms of the procurement and supply chain processes. Thank you.
Yes, please. You're right. Pretty, you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to also say that to use technology and data analytics it also helps in terms of you explained something earlier when it comes to maybe supplying of goods. Let me use that for an example. When you do these things, sometimes we do these things online. Maybe you purchase something online. Now that thing you purchased online, you paid for it online. Technology will also help you to track it down to when the goods will be supplied to you. So this thing, technology has really made things easy actually in terms of goods, services, and supplying and all that. So technology is
Great. You're all correct. Just to add up to what both of you have said, so because of technology now, a supplier or somebody who wants to enter into business, using technology, you can actually forecast demand. You understand? Forecast ahead of time and then make smarter decisions, right? Okay. So we now move to diversify sourcing as one of the best practices that we can actually adapt or think about as we want to move into business, right? Okay, so here I'll just say don't just rely on one supplier. I've mentioned this a couple of times. You understand? Don't rely on just one supplier. Yeah. You understand? Have many suppliers to avoid certain risks. You understand? Don't just buy from one supplier. So for instance, let's say maybe those companies that actually had lack of maybe the sanitizers, maybe it's because they were actually buying from one importer, let's say from China. So because of the shutdown and the COVID, shipping actually delayed, and this actually affected them. So in terms of buying, try and have many sourcing avenues, right? All right, so let's move to another best practice that we can all depend on as we think about business, procurement, and supply chain, right? Okay, so adapting to sustainable practices is something we must also look at, consider, right? So choose suppliers and processes that reduce environmental harm, yeah, and support ethical labor. What do I mean by this? So now most companies are actually switching from the plastic containers to other packaging forms. It means that they are thinking ahead, you understand. Sustainability actually builds your brand, it helps you meet regulations and actually helps you attract eco-conscious customers. There are customers who are actually eco-conscious. So you have to plan and then look at all this, right? Okay. And the last best practice that we can all look at is just focusing on agility and resilience. Sure. All right. So be ready to adapt quickly. You understand? Be ready to adapt quickly because, as we say, a lot of challenges could occur. So as a business owner or somebody thinking of, having your own business, you should be able to adapt quickly. You understand? Things can change in terms of prices, strikes, and global crisis that we mentioned earlier. You understand? So you need to actually learn to adapt so you will not be taken by surprise by your competitors, right? Okay, so let's move to the next slide, please. Great, so that brings us to the end of the session. So we have some scenarios that we have to look at, or we can look at. Can anybody take the first one? You can drop your answers in the chat room, please. I also have one question to add after this. Please drop your answers and I'll read them, please. When we say Toyota supply chain, just-in-time efficiency, what comes into your mind? I'm sure everybody knows about Toyota. They produce vehicles. Any idea, please, based on what we've just looked at from the beginning to now? Hello, are we on this call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what comes to your mind, please?
When you talk about Toyota supply chain, the arrow here, just in time efficiency, what comes to mind is I think they have the whole procurement processes they are in charge of it. So the supply chain is not I think maybe I don't know much about their production part, whether they outsource other part of, let me give an example, maybe the engine, there may be some other outsource that they do in terms of maybe a certain company produces batteries for them, maybe these are my thought. However, in general sense, there are whole procurement process that leads to the production of any car or model that they do every year or that they have done before, would have shown that, okay, they are consistent in their value chain. That would be my contribution on that, and thank you.
Okay. Anyone else, please? All right, so you notice that when you go to Toyota, they don't only stock parts in their warehouse or factory, but when you come with a problem, in just some few minutes or a few months or few weeks, you are being sorted out. That's because they have a number of people working for them. You understand? So they only order what is needed at a time, and that's what we mean by just-in-time efficiency for in the supply chain of Toyota. Are we good? Let's use another example here, which is not on the screen. Okay. So for instance, you have let's say a tailor. Yeah, let's use a tailor. Something we can all relate with. Yes, no, not just business-wise. So a tailor who only stocks a particular fabric when the customer places an order. What do you think may happen? A tailor who only stocks that fabric only when a customer comes in to place an order. All right, I see your comments from on the Toyota Ghana, right? We are looking at a tailor who only stocks a particular fabric when a customer places an order. This makes her not to waste money, yes, because you know your kind of clients or you know your customers. So why would you even stock some fabrics that you know that your customers or no one has ever come to ask of? So you only stock what is needed at a time so as not to waste money, right? Okay, so let's look at the converse scenario. What comes into our mind during the COVID-19? There was distractions. Who can say something about this? We've used COVID-19 in most of the examples. Hello? Okay, so during the COVID, we realized that most factories or companies actually closed down. You understand? Borders were shut, shipping were delayed, and it affected business. But if you have a plan B, and you could keep all these things, should they happen again? Lessons have been learned. So should we be hit by COVID-19 again? I think that companies will be much more prepared, right? Are we in class?
Yes, we're in class. I can hear you.
Thank you. So I have one question for all of us. Or before I ask my question, any questions for me, please? We're actually running out of time.
Yes.
Any question? Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted some clarity in terms of the difference between value chain and supply chain. Just value chain and supply chain.
Come
And
again,
how
please.
I said I want some clarity between value chain, or let me say between supply chain, which is what we're talking about, and value chain, and how are they related?
You want to find out the difference between value chain, right?
Yes. And
then that of
supply chain, which is what we're discussing now. And how are they
okay.
interrelated? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, before I
Please, if
come
you
in.
don't mind, Alberta, let me
Yes,
offer
sir.
an opinion here.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I
Come.
like the question. So first is that there's something called, I mean, I think one of the best ways to explain the value chain is that thing called Professor Porter as a value chain. So everybody, if you look at it quickly, everybody, there's something called Porter's value chain. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on your computer. If I found one of the illustrations that I like, and I will probably just put it in the chat room, everybody. This is one of the illustrations that I like relative to value chain. It really kind of explains what value chain is. Can everybody see can you see the diagram that I put in the chat room, everybody? Right? Can you see? So it kind of shows you that, okay, this is how we uh these are all the activities that we're involved with within the organization. Can everybody confirm that they can see? So Ayomiku, can you confirm that you can see what's in the chat? Shadrach, can you? Damilola, Elizabeth.
You can see
Free,
it.
Lara,
You can see it.
everybody.
You can see it
I
now.
put something in the chat room. Please, can you go
Yes,
into the
sir.
chat
Yes,
room
sir.
and just confirm? Please type
Yes.
into the chat room and say, I can see it. I can see it. Everybody type that into the chat room. All right, type it. Say, I can see it. Brilliant, good. So that talks about the value chain, and that's important to that's important to all of us. What is the value chain in Transformation College? It just says that all the activities that we're involved with that allow us to be able to deliver value to our stakeholders or customers. So I think that should be clear. Also, everybody, if you go into chat GPT, and I like that question, as I said, you can also ask ChatGPT that same question. So somebody should please go into ChatGPT and say, tell me the classic difference between value chain and supply chain. But value chain really is all the activities that we're involved with. And if you look at the diagram, you see that some of the activities, they're called supporting activities. Are we all together? Some of them are supporting and some of them are primary activities. And when we combine all our activities, we're able to deliver value to our stakeholders and to our customers. Is that clear? Right? However, when it comes to supply chain means that we have to bring in the context of suppliers, vendors, and third parties. Now, in value chain, they might also come in place, but in supply chain, it is compulsory. Does that make sense? So, for value chain, right, we might use third parties. Are we together? We might use third parties when it comes to value chain, okay? But for supply chain, we must have third parties. Does that make sense? Both of them is about the delivery of value eventually. But for supply chain, we must have third parties, whether we call them third parties, we call them suppliers, we call them vendors, whatever name we decide that we want to call them, everybody. So, right. So I hope that is clear. For value chain, we might use third parties when it comes to how we deliver value to our stakeholders, but it can also be fully internal. So value chain can be fully internal, or we might use uh, third parties as part of the for lack of a better word, the ecosystem. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, please.
However, that's for value chain, might be fully internal, or we might use third parties, right? For as part of the ecosystem to deliver value to our customers and stakeholders. Okay, so they're definitely interrelated concepts, but the key thing is that when you and I use the word supply chain, it means that there will be some third party, somebody who's giving us raw materials, who's supporting the process, blah blah blah. That's what makes it supply. There must be an external third party that is involved. I hope that's clear.
Yes, please. Thank you, Doc.
Gentleman that asked the question, who was that? Who was asking?
It was
Who was asking?
Asari.
Yeah,
Are you
now.
on the call?
Asari, are you there? Asari, you're the one that was asking. I've answered you. Are you happy with it? Did you get this now? Asari.
Are you
Yeah,
on the call with us?
I'm on the call, please.
All right. Are you okay
Sorry,
with the
so give me
solution?
an answer now. Let me be certain that that you actually understand what I have said. Do you?
Yes, sir, please, I understand you.
Are you
Right.
sure?
Yes, please.
Okay,
All right.
brilliant. And that, as I said, that diagram is an extremely important diagram when it comes to understanding, um, when it comes to understanding value chain. Just like there's another diagram I'll share with you now. I'm trying to see if I can find a clear one. That's also a very important diagram when it comes to supply chain. So it's important that you understand supply chain, and it's also important that you understand value chain as it is. So I think let me put this diagram, and that'll be the last thing. Everybody, I hope you can see. I'm going to put this diagram in the chat room. Please confirm. So you can see that there is a supplier that is involved in here. Okay, I'll put it in the chat room, everybody. Can you see this diagram? Can everybody copy the diagram? Can you look at the diagram?
Yes, please, we can see.
Right, so you can see. So please save the diagram, copy the diagram somewhere. You will see that that is a decent diagram that kind of illustrates supply chain from the sometimes the supplier himself has a supplier. Everybody, can you see that? The supplier might even have a supplier, and then they will give the company, and then the company will then be able to serve its customers, and even sometimes the customer themselves, they also have a customer. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Thank you.
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Doc. Okay, any key takeaways, please? So we are now managers or aspiring managers that can now take smarter and faster decisions when it comes to procurement and supply chain. Any takeaways from the class? Just one or two people. All right.
Okay. All right. Sorry, a question. Yeah, I wanted
Yes.
to ask, are there tools in terms of with the use of the technology or AI or something? Are there tools that help see to these processes? Skill
Yes.
tools that can be used to help see to these processes.
Yes, there are tools, but because of time, we didn't go into the tools that you can actually use when it comes to procurement and supply chain management. But there are tools that one can use to make work much more easier. Looking at now the introduction of AI now, so everything is possible and everything can be done quicker and faster to save time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Mr. Yikami, you want to say something? Oyikami. Any key takeaways, please, for one person? What have we learned today? What can we go and tell our junior brothers and sisters at home?
Okay, with this one, everything together.
Hello, is anybody talking? Any takeaway from any one of us? As you leave the class today, what can you share with a junior brother or a sister who has heard about procurements and supply chain, or who hasn't heard about it? What can you go and tell the person? Just one or two takeaways, please. Anyone, please? Are we on the call? Hello? Are we still on the call?
People are on the call. Rick, what is your big takeaway? Rick, tell me. Shadrach, tell me. Elizabeth, Elizabeth, you're meant to be speaking on some of these calls. The idea is not just for you to switch on your phone and say that you're listening. Ayomikun, the same thing. Can we get feedback as we've come to the end of this session? I have Pretty Beauty. I have Oyekomi Omalara, who is somewhere in the market because we could hear her some minutes ago. We've got Isaac Asari, we've got Humphrey. The trainer is done. Please give us your 1 minute takeaway, your personal takeaway as a person, very quickly, so that we can round up and we can go for our break. Elizabeth, Shadrach, Humphrey,
All right, sir.
Asari, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. I'm here, Rick. Yeah, thank you
Hello,
very
Rick.
much.
Thank you very much, Rick. How you doing? How you doing?
Absolutely excellent. Thank you, sir, for this
It's
opportunity.
always great to hear from you. Always. Go
Absolutely.
ahead.
Now, my takeaway would be that with very effective and efficient procurement processes in place, you would save time, resources, and also meet client expectation if you are either in the goods or service organizations. So that will be my takeaway. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you
Great,
very much,
great,
Rick. Thank
excellent.
you. Thank you.
Anyone
Who
else,
else is
please?
there?
One more.
Go ahead. Ayomiko, Shadrach, Elizabeth, quickly. Pretty Beauty, please. Sorry, quickly. What's your big takeaway? Very quickly.
Okay, Doc. Thank
Sorry,
you.
please go. Yes.
All right. So my takeaway from this class is that for us to, as Rick has said, to maintain the processes in the procurement and supply chain distribution, there's a need for, to ensure that consistency and that sustainability, there's a need for the company to build that good communication or good human relation with the suppliers and to ensure a consistency and a flow in the distribution channel of goods and services.
Great.
Thank you.
Excellent. I love that.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much, Isaac. That was good. And can I hear from others? Where's Pretty Beauty? Ayomiko, I need to hear from you. Were you here at all? Were you listening? What is one thing that you've taken away? Go ahead, Ayomiko.
One thing I've taken away from the class is
We're struggling to hear you a bit. Your voice is a bit distant from the microphone or something. Go ahead.
am I clear now?
It's slightly better, but yes, go ahead.
My big takeaway is identifying problems and not just ideas. Like successful businesses solve real problems, the best ideas, and understanding people's unique frustrations.
Right. So thank you for that. I think you were saying something around identifying problems and not just
Not just
ideas. Am I
ideas.
right?
Yes.
It's not just about having great ideas, it's also being able to solve a problem. And I completely agree. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Elizabeth, Shadrach, are you here? Humphrey, we're going to close this in 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And I hear from Schweib. Tell me, Schweib, where are you today? Please tell me, what's your big takeaway from this session? Anybody?
Hello. My big takeaway for this section is how to make use of the logistic tools in order to how to make the tools, that is a logistic tool to make the work easier.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
is one of my
Brilliant.
big
Brilliant. So everybody, you can go and check up something. Everybody type it into Google on your phone. Zoho for supply chain management. Everybody type something like that. Say Zoho, all right, for supply chain management. So at another time, this is definitely something that we're going to look at. We're going to explore these conversations. I'm going to share a link in the chat room, everybody. Zoho for supply chain management. That's very important that you learn how to use software for some of these things. I've shared the link in the chat room. That's extremely important as it is for us. Okay. Please, a massive round of applause, everybody, for Alberta. Thank you. But once again, everybody in the chat room, please, a round of applause. A big thank you to you, Alberta, for taking this particular session this morning. Very clean, very clear, and very precise. And
Thank you
so
so
we
much.
appreciate you. That has gone very well as it is. So thank you very much. And we
Thank you.
definitely will look forward to seeing you in other sessions in the
Yes,
future.
please.
Thank you very much. All
Thank
right,
you, Doctor. Thank you,
Mercy, over
everyone.
to you. I believe we're going on a break and then we'll come back. The last session today is going to be beautiful. We're going to be having conversations around both human resource management and organizational change management, HR. And I think all of us should be HR experts. Everybody should understand what human resource management is. So you should call your friends, call your husband, your sisters, your children, your cousins, call all of them. I promise you, it's going to be an interesting and explosive session that we're going to be having today. So once again, thank you very much, everyone. It's great having you. How many minutes is our break? How many minutes?
30 minutes. We should be back by 12:50 p.m. Nigerian time.
So we're going to do 12:45. Everybody, 12:45 is a good time so that we can finish on time. So let's come back at 12:45. Do I have your commitment? I also need everybody, please bring somebody. Send the link to somebody. Send it to your sister, your brother. This last session, you will enjoy it. I promise you. So I'm begging all of you. I'm pleading with you. Send the link for this next session that will start in another 25 minutes. Send the link to somebody. Send it to your secondary school group. Send it to your university group. Send it to your mosque or to your church. It will be a brilliant and explosive session as we discuss human resources and organizational change management. Thank you very much, everyone. See you in 25 minutes.
You'll be talking about. For this last session, we'll be talking about human resources and organizational change management. And the person who will be taking this session is none other than Oreoluwani Akindele, and I'm sure she is prepared for us today. Please take your notes pad and your biros and prepare your questions down. If she feels she wants to answer her questions in between the class, then we can go ahead. But then we can as well prepare our question at the last session, then we can take up the questions from there. Thank you so much. Ore, please, if you can hear me, you can take it off from here.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm supposed to turn on my video. Please give me 1 minute. I'm going to do that now. Okay. Right. Okay, good afternoon. Can we all see me? Can we all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, Peter. Let me look for a couple of people on this call. Good afternoon, Peter. Good afternoon, Humphrey. I hope I said that well. Good afternoon, Isaac. Good afternoon, Kayode. Ah, it's clapping for me. Must have done something right. Thank you. Hello, Omolara Olalekon. Hello, Pretty Beauty. Hello, Godwin. All right. Hello, everyone. How are we doing today? My name is Oreoluwani Akindele, and thank you for having me here. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead to share my screen, and we will get into it. Okay, so please confirm that you can see my screen. I suppose that it is coming up. Please give me a minute. Just a minute. I'm so sorry. Did it come up the first instance?
Yes, it came up.
Oh, okay. So that means it's my the one doing rubbish. Okay, so I'm going to try that again. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. All right, can we see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Good afternoon again. My name is Ore, and so we are looking at organizational change management. We are looking at human resource and organizational change management. Forgive my slide. So very quickly, let me just summarize what we're going to be doing in today's class and what we're going to be learning in today's class. So we want to look at human resources. Why is that important for you? Even if you're not in HR, why do you need to know that? And why do you have to deal with organizational change? So first things, we all know that change is constant. It's something that we deal with every day of our lives. So it's something that we need to learn to manage as individuals. And when we talk about human resources, what we're talking about the people in the organization. And there's a saying that I like. It says people are the organization's most valuable assets. You have to learn to manage people. Once you're managing one person, even the fact that you manage yourself to get your work done is some sort of human resource. So it's a very important skill that everyone should know about and should learn about. So very quickly, we're going to be looking at today's topic. I'm starting with a quote here from Charles Darwin that says, "It's not the strongest of species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change." And I like to think that everyone on this call is part of the ones most responsive to change. Why? Because we're in Nigeria. So we have survived change over the years. I remember buying something this morning and I remember when that thing was about 100 naira, but I'm buying it about 1.5 now and I'm sure still buying it. So, I mean, that is some type of change, right? And I think that I saw one day, sorry, I should be checking the charts just, yeah. All right. So, and I think that I saw one day where someone says that, oh, Nigerians are very adaptable people. I mean, they can shout here, shout there, but before you know, they get used to it. So, yeah, if you are more responsive to change, you're likely to survive. So we're going to be looking at understanding why change matters. We're looking at some key models and frameworks when it comes to managing change. We're also looking at resistance and buy-in, because of course we know that even if change happens, we all have different reactions. We're also looking at how to lead change. And of course, we're looking at real-world application. So the first thing I want to ask everyone on the call before we go forward is what would you say? So I'm going to give three options that are not, would you say that when a change comes up, you are the first to jump at it? Or would you say that you are usually suspicious of the change? Or would you say that you don't like change at all? Or we need to give you like a couple of times. So I'm going to break that down again. So are you an early adapter or adapter, sorry, pardon my language. Are you an early adapter to change? Are you a skeptical person when it comes to change? Please just drop it in the chat box. Let me know the people that we are working with so that I'm able to so I'm waiting for our responses. Are you an early adapter to change? Are you skeptical when it comes to change? Are you suspicious of change? You know, something when something changes, you're looking at it that, is this all that is coming? Or do you jump at it? Or are you a rebel? Rebel is a little bit strong. Nobody is answering in the chat room. So Amolara, let me hear you. Oh, Isaac says he's slow to adapt. Great. Thank you for being very honest, Isaac. Pretty Beauty says she's an early adapter. Humphrey says he's suspicious when it comes to change. So Humphrey, me and you, we are both suspicious when it comes to change. Lara says she's slow to adapt. I think it's important for you to understand your stance when it comes to change so that you're also able to manage it well, right? So because you can't manage another person, you can't manage an entire organizational change if you don't even know how well you are, how well you respond to change. So let's go. Why does it matter? Why does change management matter? It's because it says that 70% of organizational change initiatives, they fail due to poor change management, not poor strategy. So we want to implement a particular tool in this AI age What makes it fail? Why is it that some people are yet to catch up? Some people look like they are far gone, and some people look like, oh, they are still yet to. It's because you're not managing it effectively, not because there's no strategy. So it says that for established organizations, change management is important because we have digital transformation pressures, and that would just be that we are in the place, we are in the age where everybody's business is moving. I was telling a friend of mine, I was telling him that it's almost like there's no app that doesn't have a co-pilot now. There's no app that you go somewhere, it has AI to assist you. So you need to understand, it says competitive landscape evolution. You also have regulatory and compliance changes. We also have customer expectation shifts. That one is normal, right? In this day and age, there are some things that people would expect of your business that if you're not giving us at now, you are going to be lacking behind. And so for entrepreneurs, because this is it's a smarter manager course, sorry. And so we need to learn to also think like business owners. So why is change important? Because you need to scale. It says scaling requires constant adaptation. You need to learn to adapt. There's no struggling with it. Just go with it. Understand that times change, seasons change. I think I was having a conversation and my boss mentioned, he said, so people will not know how to write letters anymore. I'm like, that one has gone. I don't think that that's something they would teach in classes in the next 5 years from now. Writing a formal letter, address on the right hand, sender's address on the left, all of those things are even the ones that we learned, I never wrote a letter to someone. Anyway, so for entrepreneurs, market disruptions demand agility, right? So team growth brings about structural changes. If you're going to be growing even as a team, there are some changes that should happen. And of course, innovation requires cultural shifts. Okay, so we're going to look at that and looking at different type of organizational changes. What kind of changes change is likely to happen? We have strategic change. So that's like moving from a new market, pivoting to a new market segment. So just imagine that you are trying to bring out a new service. And so it says major shifts in direction, mission. So you've been able to successfully produce sugar and you decide, okay, we want to start producing biscuits. That's some type of change. Structural changes. So this one is, so I need to close. All right, so structural changes. Sorry, I'm struggling with my screen. So we have reorganization of teams, departments. You're moving from a functional to a matrix structure. That has to do with the hierarchy in the organization. We also have cultural changes where you're changing. I mean, these changes could happen for different reasons, but you're trying to build a more innovative, or you're trying to include something into your core values, because core values define you as an organization, as a person. So that is a change that happens. It could also be a process change, but this is the way we used to do it, but we are implementing this new tool. So it means that a particular process, so for example, if you want to take leave, all of us, we know how to take leave in our organizations, right? So maybe before, all you have to do is fill a letter or fill a form. You get the form from HR department, you fill it, I'm going for 2 days. And now they say, oh, okay, there's this new tool that we are going to be making use of, and this is how we are going to be able to apply for leave through that tool, and this is how you're going to do it. So you get some type of training. That is a change on its own. It's called the process change. Okay, so we're going to be looking at Kotter's 8-step change model very quickly, right? So because I want to have time for a little bit of interactive session before we bring this to a close. So Kotter's 8-step change. So please, let's put this in, maybe, in school we do CFC, CR. So let's try to look for a way to grasp this. So it says here that this is a gold standard when it comes to leading organizational change. The first thing is to create urgency, right? So urgency is the first thing, because you have to make it look like this needs to be done now. You're not creating change and you're saying, well, no, you can't drag it. You have to make it, it has to be a thing of let it happen now. If not, it's not going to be effective. It says here, form coalition, or form coalition. It says assemble influential leaders. So we're going to, it's more or less like a cycle. The first thing is, oh, I'm an employee. I want to bring about a particular process, a particular tool that I know is going to cause some sort of change in the organization. What do? I need to make sure that I make it pressing. Oh, we need to do this. Of course, you make your case, you make your statement. He says it, assemble influential leaders. So here, you just go to the management to say, okay, this is my case. This is why I think we need to implement these things like yesterday, like as soon as possible. You also have to create a vision. Tell a compelling story that make them see why they should implement the change. It says here, develop a clear picture of the future. So you want it to look like, you want not that you want it, you want to tell a story that shows that you are well aware. You want to tell a story that shows that tells the people that you, in the coming days, in the coming months to come, this is where we could move from point A to point Z. Also, you learn to communicate. How to communicate it. There's one of our core values that we have in the organization that I love so much, and it goes, learn to negotiate and persuade. How do you communicate your ideas effectively such that what the other party understands, right? So you have to learn to communicate and share the vision. It says share the vision repeatedly and consistently. So it means that implementing change is very active. It's not something that you do and you are, even in your personal, I mean, just think about it. You're trying to change. Let's use one. You're trying to lose weight, right? But that one it seems to be a more feminine thing in this world. But let's just say you're trying to be a gym bro or a gym sis. The first day is not easy. If you don't start head on, if you don't go into it, it's going to, I'm so sorry. I hope you understand what it means to be gym bro, gym sis. Sorry, but then you have to you have to look at you're always looking at your future. What's your body type going to look like in the next 3 weeks, 3 months? If I'm consistent, you have somebody that said, oh, I lost 57 pounds, or I was able to do something. You have something in your mind. You're also communicating the vision. So that's on personal. Let's go back to organization. Sorry for the diversion. Remove barriers, eliminate obstacles, and empower action. We're also going to be looking at a model that is called ADKAR, so how to lead other people with regards to change. It says remove barriers, create quick wins, so generate a short-term victories to build momentum. So we are implementing a tool. The tool is called, let's even use ChatGPT, or we are using Grammarly, let's put it like that. So the first people that are able to create a presentation, and then Grammarly scores it, even if it's a 6.10, and then they share it with you. You are happy to share it with the team to say, oh, okay, this person has done well. That gives morale to other people. That also helps the person. So you have to create quick wins, build on change, use credibility to drive deeper transformation. That tells you that once we've been able to implement a small change, you're able to implement even a much more bigger one based on the credibility of the last one that has happened. And then we have anchor in culture. You have to embed these things. Change is not just something that you bring and you want to implement it on the side. You have to make it more or less one with the organizational culture. So the 8-step change model, right? So do we unmute Mercy? Can the students unmute to speak? Can they do that? I can't hear anyone. Oh.
Yes, they can unmute. Yes, they can unmute to speak.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And I want us to take it one after the other. Maybe not the way it is. So let's look at it well. And let's remember the story. The fact that you have to build. I'm going to stop sharing and I want us to we have more than 8 people on this call. So give us at least one, right? So remember that you have to create urgency. You have to inform the influential people. That's form coalition. You have to create a vision for the future. You have to communicate it. You have to remove barriers, quick wins, build on the last change, and anchor it into culture. So let me stop sharing my screen. Now, Right, so let's see how many of us got one thing or two things or three things. So I want us to just give me one person each. If you don't answer me, I'll call your name. I used to call people's name in my class. So give me one particular, when it comes to change, one way you remember in the quarter. I hope that that's his name. Quarters model. So tell me one out of the 8. So you can either type it or you speak. So please, very quickly, very quickly. Let me make sure that I was speaking to some people, or I was speaking to people. All right, so we have Olalekan says remove barriers. Thank you very much. Remove barriers to enforce your change. Thank you. Humphrey says build coalition. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, thank you so much. So you have to build coalition. You have to ensure that you take key people and you have them on board. Okay, so I'm waiting for other people to contribute before I call your name. Yes, Peter. Were you saying something? Celebrate wins, quick wins. Thank you, Isaac. Share your
Okay.
vision. Hey, we are already doing our own. Share. Someone says create vision. Someone says share your vision. All right, I want to assume that they are the same. So yes, you have to share the vision. You have to create a vision so that people are looking forward to it. All right, so I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So it remains 4. Guys, we can do this. Communicate. Pretty beauty. Thank you very much. So your own is communicate, but hey, I get you. Communicate it, right? Right. So communicate it. So that's 5. So we have 3 more. The first one. Who can help us with the very first one? Thank you very much, Pretty Beauty. I see that you've corrected it. Who can help us with the very first one that I mentioned? Very first one. Should I drop an hint? Build urgency. Thank you. It has to be urgent. You have to be able to make it urgent. Now we have how many to go? We have just 2 more to go and we are done. So communicate, build urgency. So if you cannot remember, we'll just take it again while I share my screen. So we have what? We have build urgency, we have form coalition, we have create a vision. There's something that talks about the credibility of the last change that was implemented. Do we remember that? Okay, I think we have tried. 6/8 is a good mark. Me, I'm not a very wicked person. So, yes, so I think build on the last change. And what's the last one we did not? Anchor it into culture. So the last 2, please, let's take note of them. Build on change and anchor it in culture. All right, so the human response. What are the likely responses that you are going to be getting when you want to implement change? We already talked about our own. So we see here denial, resistance, exploration, commitment. Okay, so the first one, denial, says, oh, this will not affect me. So this one is more or less not my business. Me and this particular change, we don't have anything to do with each other. That is a particular reaction. And what do? It says here that you need to communicate the need clearly with facts. So if you see someone that says, oh, this is not my business, and this one looks like an IT thing, you have to make them realize how they are part of that particular change. Communicate it with facts. The second one says resistance. I don't like this. I don't like this particular change, though. That's like the last one that you people brought. Now, we've not even gotten used to it. You're bringing another one. It says what? Listen actively. You don't shout and say, oh, no, you don't know what. No, you have to listen actively. Address concerns. Because, of course, you're dealing with human beings, not machines. Address concerns and involve people. Let them know that they are part of the change. You are not just bringing the change to them. The third one says exploration. Let me try this. Those are our early adapters. People like Pretty Beauty and Co. It says what? Provide training, provide resources, provide support. The moment you see someone that says, you know what, I'm game, bring this, let's do this. It says what? Provide resources, provide the necessary training. Commitment. This is how we work. We have some people that are willing to take, you're just mentioning the change. In fact, you're just thinking about it. They're already willing to take it to the Third, fourth level, it says recognize success and reinforce new behavior. So let's take note of that. We have people that would deny the change, that will resist it, that would explore it, that will commit to it. And there are different responses that we give to those people. So please, let's take note of that. Again, why is this important that we learn this? Because what? Because we are all at one point going to have to deal with change, either as a contributing party, or as the driving, or as the key participator, or as the key driver of change. I'm so sorry. Understanding resistance to change. It could be fear-based, it could be comfort-based. People don't want to move out of their comfort zone. It could be trust-based. The fact that this thing it did not work the last time. Those people have valid concerns. So your key takeaway should be that what resistance is not the enemy, it's information, because you are likely to get you're likely to see people that are resisting change as rebellious, but that's not always the case, right? That's why they have said the common sources of resistance could just be the fact that there are concerns that you need to address. Maybe the last one did not actually work, so you have to address that. Maybe the fact that this person is implementing this change could cause some type of change that that person is not ready for. So you need to be able to take it one step at a time. Okay, moving very quickly. We need to get to our interactive section as soon as possible. So the ADKAR individual change model. So this is another one I want us to go. This one is very simple. The awareness of change, the desire to support and engage, the knowledge of how to change, the ability to implement it, and the reinforcement. Okay, so first off, I'm going to explain why it matters. It says here that each element must be achieved in sequence. If someone lacks desire, providing knowledge will not help. Diagnose where individuals are stuck. So this means that for you as a person, we're going to start from ourselves, because what's that thing that Michael Jackson says? If you want to make a difference, take a look into the mirror and make a what? Am I the only one that knows that song? People are very quiet. All right, moving on. So we have to be able to implement this ADKAR model as individuals. The first one is you have to be aware of the change. You have to be aware that, oh, this change is coming. There has to be some sort of awareness. Then you have to have the desire. So at some point in time, you can always give yourself a test question. I'm aware of this change. Do I desire the change? Or do I not desire the change? Do I know how to actually go about this change? Do I have the ability to implement this change? Do I also have the reinforcement, something that keeps me going? Then when it now comes to also involving other people, it's also the same thing. Are those people aware of the change that you want to implement? Are they very aware? Are they clear about it? Do they have the desire? Because you cannot, it says here that if someone lacks desire, knowledge is not going to help. Do they have the desire? You can tell when someone has the desire or not. So this ADKAR model just gives you, it lets you understand where there's a root, where the root problem is coming from. It could be that the person is aware of the change, but the person doesn't have a desire. So you have to work on how to make the person desire the change, right? You have to make the person see reasons why, and that's not saying it in a very very harsh manner. You have to have the knowledge of how the change can work, the ability. There's a difference between knowledge and ability, guys. There's something about knowledge. Oh, I know how to, and I can. I have the necessary resources too. There are two different things. And then reinforcement, the little praises, the little recognitions that help to sustain the change. So please, let's put this at the back of our minds. ADKAR, very important, very simple. Okay, so communication. I hope I'm sorry, I just need to jump to our what's this thing called now? All right, so communication, the critical success factor. You need to know how to communicate. We have a 7 times rule. It says people need to hear a message 7 times in several different ways before it sinks in. So you'd be surprised that you've been saying something and someone did not even understand. The person hasn't gotten it. So there's a 7 times rule that says what? People need to hear something 7 times in 7 different ways, right? So what to communicate? Why is the change necessary? What is going to change and what will not change? How will it happen? What milestones will occur? Who is going to be responsible for what? And what is in it for them? do not forget, you're not just implementing change. Every change that we make as individuals for ourselves is so that we get some type of reward, some type of satisfaction. It's just something that makes us happy in the end. So how much more when you want to implement that change to other people? You have to make them feel like, oh, okay, this is your reward, this is your satisfaction when you get when this change happens. How do you communicate it? It says town hall and team meetings, one-on-one conversations, email updates and newsletters, visual roadmaps, training sessions, feedback mechanisms. There are lots of ways to communicate it. Don't forget, 7 times rule states that we'll still do tests. It says that's what you have to people need to hear one message 7 times in 7 different ways. Okay, so pro tip, two-way communication is essential when it comes to implementing change. You don't just want to say, oh, we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. You need to hear the people's feedback. Building your change champion network. There's something they call change champions. Those people that are always ready to take it to the next mile, to the next let's put it to the next mile. So we have influential individuals at all levels that advocate for change. So we have people that come up in the organization to say, oh, I think we should implement this, or I think we should do this, or you come up and say, oh, I want us to do this, and they are just there. They are people like the early adapters, like Pretty Beauty. I'm sorry, that's the only person that I think mentioned that she's an early adapter. So if I'm mentioning her name, it's not because I know her. It's just because she says she's an early adapter, so she's going to be my example. So yes, so you have someone like Pretty Beauty on your team. How exactly do you manage that to influence more change? How do you identify champions? It says look for natural influencers, not just titles now. So it means that this person doesn't have to be a manager. The person just needs to have the heart to that is always willing to drive the change. Find people who span networks and departments. Seek early adopters and positive skeptics. So we have people that are skeptical about it in the right way. We also have people that are skeptical about it in the wrong way. Identify those with credibility and trust. And then how do you support them? Give them early information and involvement. You know, there are some things that you don't do from eye on top. You don't just sit down on your eye table and then you're expecting it to go because you've said it. You need to be able to come down to say, okay, you have to be able to communicate it to some key people, knowing that they are able to use their influence to drive other people to also adapt to that change. Provide talking points and resources for them. Recognize and celebrate their efforts, of course, and create channels for them to share feedback upward. So it's always almost like creating your own team to drive that particular change. So we want to look at some practical change management tools, and then we will jump into our case study. I'm so sorry. It looks like I'm rushing, but I want us to do our case study before this class ends. So stakeholder analysis, map who is impacted. So we are looking at some practical change management tools, right? So you have to map who is impacted, their influence level, and their support stance. You have to also look at the impact assessment. How deep and wide is this change? So it looks like if you want to implement change, it's not just something that you sleep and wake up and say, let's do this. There are a lot of thinking. There's a lot of thinking that goes into implementing changes. Identify high impact areas needing extra support. Readiness assessment. Measure the organization's preparedness for that particular change. Then you address gaps before launching it. So you can already see that they are still in the paper era and you are trying to bring a high-tech profile software. You need to first move them to like Excel and Word before you now even move them to the high-tech. So you need to check what is the gap. It's okay to take change one step at a time. Change roadmap. Timeline with milestones, deliverables, and dependencies. Keep everyone aligned on the journey. Then you have to have a training plan. So you have to have a skill development strategy matching the ADCAR. So you just have to have a training around it that helps people with respect to building the skills to be more. So apparently there are skills that you can learn that makes you more of an early adapter to change. So you can implement that for people who you think they are slow to change. You could also get a training plan around how to drive particular change for your team. And of course, have a metrics dashboard. Track adoption rate, the sentiment scores, and then performance indicators to measure the success of that change implementation. So we look at it, the stakeholder analysis, the impact assessment, readiness assessment. Impact means what this change is going to be doing in our organization. You have to assess it. Readiness means how ready are these people? You have to change roadmap, training plan, and of course your metrics dashboard. So we are looking at the different stages of change. Early stage, the growth stage, the scale stage, the maturity stage. But first, before we go on, I want us to jump into our mini case study because I am tired of talking alone. So we have a startup, all of us on this call, we are working in a startup. It's a 35% software startup, and we are transitioning from remote first to hybrid. Are we all with me? So we are fully remote, we want to go back to hybrid. You know that kind of change is giving, it's not giving the kind of change that people would exactly want. People usually look forward to hybrid into fully remote. It says the founders believe that office time will boost collaboration and culture. But 60% of the employees joined during the fully remote period and they are resisting the change. So please feel free to unmute your mics and please do. The first thing is using the quotas model. Let's not forget. What should be the first 3 steps that we should implement? Who wants to start? We can see my screen. We want to help this particular startup frame to implement a particular change that doesn't sound favorable from fully remote to hybrid, knowing that most of their members joined while they were fully remote. So what do we do? So the first thing says using the quota model, what should be the first 3 steps? Can we still remember? You can check the chat. We wrote some of the steps there in case you have forgotten. What are the likely sources of resistance? Why do you think people would be resisting this change? How do we use AdCard to guide individuals through this change? And who should be our change champions? And what communication mistakes should we avoid? Who is ready to go first? Should I call names? Let me look at my participants. I'm just going to close my eyes and call anybody's name. I'm not doing that. Please feel free to unmute. Okay, Humphrey says to build coalition. Okay, build coalition means meeting the highly influential people in the organization to communicate your change to them. Okay, so that's the first. So it says first 3 steps now, so it's not complete. That's like standing on one leg. So what should the other 2 steps be? Please, let's do this together, everyone. Hello? Again, feel free to unmute your mic if you think that that's going to be easier for you. I think that that's what I would even prefer so that we can talk about it. Okay, Humphrey says create vision. So you build your coalition, you create the vision, okay, and then you do what? Please, if you need to speak, please just raise up your hand or you unmute to speak. Are we in this class, ladies and gentlemen?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Pretty Beauty. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
All right, so do you want to say something?
Yes, I think for me, the first thing to do is form a coalition,
okay,
communicate, then create urgency. That would be the first thing for me.
Okay, so you form the coalition, you communicate, and you create urgency. Okay, why did you choose that?
Because first of all, for example, you give the example like if I'm as an employee, right? So I'm going to use that as the case study. An employee seeing a change. First of all the employee needs to do is meet the management first on it.
Okay.
So after when you meet the management, what do? You communicate with them consistently. Then after that, you build a compelling case for why that change must happen.
Okay.
So you let them know
Okay.
before you can create the vision and the rest of it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Humphrey, do you mind unmuting? I want to understand why you said build coalition, create vision, and remove barriers. I'm particularly interested in that remove barriers because there are a lot of barriers that you need to remove. Would you be implementing the transportation allowance? That's a way of removing barriers. Would you suggest
Yeah,
that?
yeah, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, thank you very much for the delivery. Um, for me, I will first of all in this scenario, I will first of all create the vision, then
Okay.
so that the vision will tell me what the implication of the change that I'm pursuing, then the extent to which the change is needed. Then I create
Okay.
a vision around it. Then after which I will attempt to build a coalition. In building
Okay.
coalition, then you will find out that some people may be resistant to change. Then some
Mm-hmm.
people may support you. Then if you find out that people are resistant to change, that is when they are the barriers. Then that is
Okay.
when you move to
That's when
the
you
next step.
address their concerns and remove the
You address
barriers.
concerns by removing barriers
All right, that's pretty
before
smart.
implementation.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, so Olalekan says build coalition. We still have plenty of questions, so I want us to go to the next one. It says build coalition, communicate. That's almost the same thing with Humphrey. So thank you very much. So the second one now says, what are the likely sources of resistance? I think I've mentioned one. So it's a practical thing. If you're telling people to move from fully remote to hybrid, I mean, that's not an easy change. Fully, even on the organization, it's not an easy change because there comes expenses that you need you have to start buying fuel. You have to ensure that the AC and all of those things. So what are the likely sources of resistance that you think can come up with respect to our change that we want to implement? Who's going to help me answer that? And then we can see the question on the
Yeah,
screen.
in this
Okay.
scenario, for me, in this scenario, I think most of the employees may not have the technical know-how to deploy. So
Okay.
it will form a kind of barrier or resistance for them. Thank you.
When you say technical know-how, I don't understand that. Is it that they don't know how to come
Yeah,
to work?
because you are moving now. You are now moving from what they are used to
Okay.
something a new environment they are not used to. You are moving from remote work to hybrid work. So
Okay.
you need to be trained. They need another set of knowledge to be able to operate in that environment.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I hear you. All right. So likely sources of technical know-how. What other sources of resistance do we think can happen? And how do we think we can use the ADCA to drive individuals through change? So let's go with those three questions for the sake of time. So let's just look at it and say, okay, this is the ADCA where I want to drive it, and this is why I think, or this is the source of resistance I think is going to happen. Okay, anybody wants to help us with that very quickly before we go back into our slide and round it up? So people are very quiet. Mr. Kayode, are you on this call? Mr. George, Elizabeth, Azanor, Shadrach, Ayomikun, please, can you unmute your mic and speak with respect to how you're going to implement change? Are we not all change champions? Please, Schweib Farm, Rick Godwin, please unmute your mic and speak or make use of the chat box. We are very silent. How do you, be all of us, we are slow, what's that thing called? We are slow to adapt to change. That's why we are very quiet. So we are saying that a company is moving from remote to to hybrid, which means that From fully remote, they have to start coming into the office. So it's asking you, what are the likely sources of resistance? People are resisting the change. Why do you think they are resisting the change? Also, how do you use the ADCAR? Don't forget the ADCAR. You have to be aware, you have to desire, you have to know, you have to be able, you have to have reinforcement. How do you use that to drive individuals through this change? Who wants to help us before we go further? Please, I'm begging. I'm just seeing people leave and come in inside the call. I'm not seeing anyone contributing. Should I call names? I've called names. They did not even answer me. Anyone wants to help us? Mr. Humphrey, Pretty Beauty.
Orolo, what's your question?
So my question, sir, is we already looked at the quota model that people would adapt when it comes to driving this change. And so they said, they already mentioned some of the, so it says, what are the likely sources of resistance that are going to come from the fact that we are saying people should stop doing full remote to hybrid?
Yeah.
And how
So,
are we
I
going
mean,
to use ADCAR?
okay, so this is what I think when it comes to change. I'm also one of those people that used to say, what's the popular saying? People say that people are resistant to change. Am I right?
Yes,
That's the
sir.
popular saying, right? But that's not true.
Okay.
People are not resistant to change, right? People are resistant to the change that they do not think it's advantageous to them. Did I say that again? People are not resistant to change. You, this already, you're not resistant to change. Everybody on this call, they are not resistant to change. All of us are just resistant to the change that we're not sure that it's advantageous to us. So, for example, let me say on this call, right? How many people are registered for this course? I don't know, 50, 100. Let's assume that we put it out there that if you attend this course today and you pass the session from oral or that you make contributions, you win 100,000 naira. Or how many people do you think will be here? And then everybody that you're begging right now that they should contribute. What do you think? Like people won't even allow you speak. We will take over the class because even I will want to win that, right? So generally, when it comes to change, the challenge is that people don't believe that that change is advantageous to them. So you and I are saying that let's do hybrid, right? From fully remote to hybrid. And then imagine if we say that every day when you come to the office as part of the hybrid, you get breakfast, you get lunch, and you get extra money for transport in and transport out. All right, what do you think? Right?
I don't
Eh,
mind it.
a lot of people are going to want to come to the office, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, no, you get breakfast, you get lunch, and you get takeaway for dinner, and then you get extra money for transport. People, all of a sudden, people will not like their homes any longer. Their homes will be very uncomfortable because when you're at home, you have to prepare breakfast, lunch, dinner for yourself. And like, dude, that they go work, and they go work, right? So I think the key thing when it comes to change is people have to have that thing. They call it what is the need for me. Am I right? It's almost
Yes.
like there's got to be some benefit, some advantage from that change. So you and I that people who sell change, insist on change or whatever it is, we kind of almost what's that thing? We force change down on our people. I think all of us just need to ensure that we add some benefit, some advantage. People have to see the good, not just from the organizational perspective, but also from their perspective. And I think with that, change job becomes easier. So if you tell people to learn a new software, or and everybody, Rick, everybody that is here, if I tell you to go and learn a new software, you're going to say, why am I learning this? Oh, another one more software. But imagine if I say anybody who knows how to use this software at the end of the month, we're going to double your salary. Now you can imagine, right? People are going to now look at it. They're like, "Oh, this software. Now me and you, I'm not leaving this place until I know this software." Uh, my 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 simple thoughts, Madam Ore.
Thank you very much, Dr. Orlando. Thank you. All right, so we're going to look at some pitfall. Okay, so yes, so we're going to look at some stages with respect to growth.
And these your slides are really fine, though. Wow, this is really nice, beautiful. Well done, really
Thank
nice.
you. Thank you. All right, so we're looking at some stages when it comes to growth. So we have the early stage, the growth stage, the scale stage, and the maturity stage. And so at the early stage, we are seeing 0 to 10 people, where what it says rapid pivots, role fluidity, and what should be done. So at the early stage, we have 0 to 10 people. The growth stage, you have about 10 to 50 people, where you have process formalization, hierarchy emergence. We also have the scale stage, that's 50 to 100, sorry, 50 plus, and the maturity stage. And what should be our focus at each stage of this growth? So the first one is at the early stage, we have clear communication, have shared vision, and of course have agility. I do have a question for the class, but I'm going to wait. When we are done, I would ask my question. All right, so when it comes to the growth stage, we have maintain culture while scaling. You have to document processes at this point. Where we have 50 plus people, when you want to engage a change of 50 plus people, you have to have a structured change management. You also have to have consistent communication. Now, let's imagine that you're enforcing a change with a whole lot of people. What are you going to do? You have to have cultural renewal. We've talked about embedding it into the organization's culture, breaking silos, maintaining the entrepreneur spirit. So we have different stages and what to do with respect to them. Now, common change, I'm so sorry, management pitfalls. So the first one would be not explaining the why. You need to be able to connect the change to organizational purpose. Even before we offer free food, and the first question your staff members are going to ask you is, why are we making this hybrid? Like, why exactly? So you need to explain the why. Then you need to ensure that you're not under communicating. It says here you multiply your communication by times 10 of what feels sufficient. So you're always communicating. It's like they are sleeping and they are remembering it. They can also explain the why. Then you have to what? Another pitfall is if you are ignoring your middle managers, because you have to equip them as the change leaders. You cannot decide. Let's imagine that you're in the HR department or you're in the management team. You can't make people do it. You have to make their managers drive it, because they are closer to their managers. And that's the essence of having change champions too, so that people are also able to influence others to adopt this change. Declaring victory too early. So you need to be able to sustain focus until behaviors are truly embedded. The fact that someone does it. Now, this is a little bit I don't want to say tricky, because we said you have to celebrate small wins and quick wins. But at the same time, there's a difference between that and declaring victory too early. Just because we've used it for 1 month, you can't say that that change has been implemented. You need to understand that there are different phases. It says here that you have to sustain focus until behaviors are truly embedded. It's not just something that they are doing. It has already become a part of the people. So it says using a one-size-fits-all approach is also very, it's a pitfall. You have to tailor strategies. We've looked at different types of reactions we are likely to get from different people. And we've looked at the leadership's call to actions. They're all different things. So you can't use what you're going to use for an early adapter. You can't use it for someone resisting change. It has to be different approaches you use for those two sets of people. No measurement plan. You have to learn to measure the change. How fast the change come. You have to get metrics in place. You have to be able to say, oh, we have 30% that adopted this within the first 6 weeks, and then we had a growth by 20%. You need to be able to measure it and track your progress. Okay, so we've done our discussion. So key success factors when it comes to implementing change. Leadership commitments, right? So you have to have visible, active sponsorship from top leadership. Walk the talk. So how do you know leadership is committed? Because leadership embraces that change first. The moment they see that the leadership is already doing it, trust me. So imagine we tell people to start coming to the office, and then they get to the office the first day, but they can't find their line managers. And then they call their line managers, and their line managers are like, oh, is it people that are going to work? Oh? Just know that even if they are not yet line managers, you're already destroying the morale of those people to implement that change full time. People-centric approach. You need to acknowledge emotions, involve stakeholders, provide support, like boss said, like Dr. Lando said, with respect to providing breakfast, lunch, all of those things is just because you're trying to acknowledge their emotions and provide support. You have to have robust communication, right? So you have to have frequent, honest, multi-channeling messaging. So as you're sending emails, you're also reaffirming, you're also sending it one-on-one conversations in team meetings, stand-up meetings, and the rest of that. Provide training and support. Equip people with skills and resources that they need to succeed. Also, it says here again, celebrate quick wins and measure progress. So it says, remember, change management is not a one-time project. It's an ongoing capability that organizations must build and maintain. So change management is something that should be embedded into the culture of the organization such that the organization is now able to adapt to change. Why? Because change is the one constant thing in the world. So we're bringing this to a close, and before we leave today, I have one small mental task for you, and that is to think of one change happening in your organization right now. Or if you are not in an organization in your life, but let's go with organization. What type of change is it, right? What stage are people on the change curve? Which ADKAR elements is needed, or sorry, needs the most attention? And who should be your change champions? But so this one is on the, let's use it as employees now. So what kind of change is going on around us now? And let's say, what ADKAR elements do we think that we need to drive? So I particularly don't have the desire for this particular change. There's a change currently going on with respect to change in the work tools that we are using, and you are able to identify what you or what your ADKAR elements are and which one needs the most attention. Who should be your change champion? Who can you recognize as the most influential person? You know, there are sometimes that even as an employee of an organization, when you see someone doing something, it's easier for you to go and meet the person and say, oh, me, I don't understand what these people are doing. No, it looks like you're already doing it. Well, anyways, shall come and put me through. It's easier to do that to some of our colleagues that the HR and top management will consider as change champions. So you could recognize change champions around you that could help you implement change. And then what's the first communication action? So this one is on the part of you implementing the change, you enforcing the change, or you driving the change rather. We also have you also participating and contributing with respect to a change that is done. So please, let's think about our ADKAR elements. Every time there's a change, do not forget the quotas 8 model, the one that deals with urgency, forming coalition, someone help me out now, vision, communication, removing barriers, embedding it into the culture, and one other one. Sorry, I think the 7th one. Let's go there so that I don't say what is not. Yes. Building on the last change and celebrating quick wins. And of course, the ADKAR model that says be aware, have the desire, have the knowledge, have the ability, and also have the reinforcement. So ladies and gentlemen, we have resources for further learning, but your key takeaways here should be that what change fails because of people issues, not technical issues. Resistance is normal. It's a part of change management. It's normal and provides valuable information. It lets you know that there are concerns that you should also be aware of. Over communicate times 10 what feels right. Support people through their emotional journey. Quick wins build momentum and credibility. Change is not complete until it is embedded in culture. I will also want to add that seven ways rule, 7 method rule that says you communicate a message 7 different times in 7 different ways. Let's not forget that. And so Peter Drucker says, the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence, it is to act with yesterday's logic. Thank you very much, Saz and Maz. Do we have questions? Do we have contributions? Questions? Additions? Anyways, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Transformation
A
College.
big round of applause, everybody. A big round of applause, Arolua. Thank you. Thank you very much. So all of us, what do we need to practice change management in our homes? Do we need to practice it at church or in mosque? Does Nigeria need to practice change
I already said
management?
that at the beginning that
Is this
we are great
is it only
adapters.
corporate? Sorry, go ahead.
I said at the beginning that the fact that we're in Nigeria shows that we can adapt to change. We just need to be more intentional about it. We've adapted this far.
So we can adapt further as it is. But really, is this? So my question is, right? The way you talked about this sounds like the kind of thing that the executives and maybe HR should be worried about in an organization. So my question is, where does this come in when it comes to our individual lives or our non-professional or career side of our lives? Where does this come in our spiritual lives, in our with regards to our health and all those areas? Share your thoughts with me in our families. Where does this whole change thing come into play? Go ahead.
Okay, so I think that I was making some examples with respect to our personal lives. I used the gym, for example. That's your personal fitness journey. So because change is something that occurs in every area of our lives. So for example, I used the gym when explaining the 8 quota model, and I was like, you have to put a sense of urgency. You can't say, I want to start a personal fitness or I want to pray more and I'll start next week. It's always a thing of I'll start tomorrow. If possible, I can start this evening, or I can just buy a yoga mat on my way to work. So in explaining urgency, in explaining celebrating quick wins, building a future, I also mentioned the fact that you have to have a picture of what you're going to look like in the next 3 months. Of course, maybe you've seen somewhere someone that said they did wall Pilates for a couple of weeks or months, and then they moved from this size to this size, and then you're already picturing yourself. So you have to create that vision for yourself too. This is what I'm going to look like in the next 3 months. That picture gives you the morale to move forward. Of course, remove barriers, right? So if you know that doing it on your yoga mat at home, it doesn't work, you have to go and pay for gym membership or something. So that's just an example. It's also to say that even when explaining the ADKAR model, I mentioned that we need to be able to ask ourselves, am I aware of this particular change that is coming to me? Even as an employee in the organization, do I desire it? Do I want this change? You have to be able to, I called it a self-test. You need to be able to say, okay, we need to adopt a particular. So there's one, I'm going to use a very personal real life scenario. So I'm supposed to adopt a particular intranet and I'm an employee, not just the HR. And I asked myself, I said, I don't like this intranet. I told the persons in charge that were implementing the change, I said, I do not personally, I don't have that desire. So I think that it's still the onus is on them to work on my own desire, or maybe me now for me to work on, okay, well, how do I desire this thing? But I think that in their implementing the change, they're also supposed to work on me desiring it. But I'm able to figure out whether I desire a particular change or not. If I see that I'm gaining weight I tell myself I don't desire this particular weight. I want to reduce. If I see that I'm moving a particular direction that I don't want to, I need to know what my desire is. And do I know how to change it? It's different from am I able to change it? I know how to change it. I'm so sorry. Losing weight is very easy for me because I used to watch plenty of videos on it. So it's I know how to. It's different from I have the ability to. I don't have a dumbbell at home, or what's that thing they call? I don't have it at home. I don't have the resources. I don't have the machine. Okay, let me move to the gym. But I know how to. I have the knowledge. Theory is different from having the resources to carry it out. And of course, reinforcement, deciding to celebrate myself in any small way. So I think that knowing these models are things that we can actually embed. Once you are able to know them, there are things you can embed into our personal lives, whether spiritual, financial, relationships, whatever it would be. That's why I decided to bring it out as models so that we can easily remember them and adopt them when we are facing a particular change or embarking on a
Yes,
change
yes,
journey.
yes. Thank you, Ore. Once again, everybody, a big thank you to Orolua. Thank you very much, Orolua. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you, sir.
It's been great having you here, exploring this conversation of change management. I'm certain we're going to call upon you for your professional expertise in this area, even into the future. Thank you very much for your time. We
Thank you,
appreciate you.
sir.
All right, Mercy. Over to you. Thank you, everybody. A round of applause for Madam Mora in the chat room. Thank you very much. Rick has done that. Pretty Beauty has done that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Mr. Rick
Humphrey.
said he has a
Thank you.
question.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. It was an excellent presentation, and I like it when Dr. Orlando commented on the presentation. He actually took the word out of my mouth. If I was going to I was going to say that during my contribution. Okay, for me, what I following through the process, I just discovered that I'm going to be a little bit different. I'll make some comment and ask a question. One, the presentation is all fixed. It's all fixed. What was the right word? It all fixed measures. For me, whether as a politician, I wish she was talking to politicians who are in a place of authority or place of power to know how to go about making changes. All of us are Nigerians, of course. We know what happened where leaders make decisions without even considering the emotional aspect of what is the outcome. If we take this change, what are going to be the outcome? Like we talked about from a remote job to a hybrid, expected outcome could be negative, could be positive, and how do we overcome it? So I wish there's a way this message can relate to those people who are in the political sector, leadership in organizations, and all of that. But my question would be, having said that, my question would be, how do we get this message? Where does change come from? Is it from up or comes from down? And which change is sustaining? Is it the one that comes from up? Because if looking at the Nigeria as a case study, the recent changes that we have been experiencing is always from up. In one of the presentations, you said, ma'am, that walk the talk. But our leaders, they don't walk the talk. They do something else different, and then they expect you to tie your belt while they're spending extravagantly. So how do we, it becomes very challenging for me as an individual trying to process this in my mind. So how do we enforce the change? Does change normally comes from up or it comes from down? There are different scenarios to this question. I don't know if I'm being heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I got your question. I think that so first, with respect to your comment, this presentation should work for an organization, an employer to an employee scenario. For politics, I did not know I had politicians in my class. I'm sorry. So for politics, maybe we need to look at it from another perspective, but I think that a couple of key frameworks that we have shared can also work. So to your question, I believe that change comes from, again, it depends on the scenario we're looking at it. So if we're looking at it from an organizational change perspective, it comes from up. It could as well come from down. So we talked about having change adaptation embedded in the culture such that the organization itself is open to change, and that doesn't it's not talking about the employees only taking the change ideas of the employer. It also talks about even the employers taking change implementations. I talked about implementing new tools, and those tools don't necessarily have to come from the employers every single time. It could come from an employee that believes that adopting this tool is the way to go in this particular AI age. So for that, with respect to the organizational context, I do believe that it comes from both up and down. Of course, we have it, how's that? It has to be, there's something called creating a compelling case. If you're going to come as an employee to say, I believe that this is the way we should go, there should also be a compelling case that says this is why, and this is, of course, the future. Again, the quotas model, you have to create a future, and if you build a vision that says, oh, this is where the employee or the company is going to be in the next 3 years, but from up and down with respect to organization. Now, with respect to politics, sir, okay. So I also think that it should be the same thing, actually. I think that change is something that could be when
Thank
they
you
say,
very much. Thank you.
okay, I've answered your question, Abby.
No, what I mean, you agreed with me, because when I talk about politics, you never saw it that it's possible to implement this same model that you presented to people who are politicians, and to see how that if they are going to implement change or changes in their states or as in a nation, there are certain steps that they need to take. But of course, we live in a society that excuse me, that we don't use empirical feedbacks to make changes. We just make changes. Somebody just wakes up and says this is what he's going to do, so we have those challenges. So if I feel that if they are, well, let's say they are not educated or they don't know these things, it bothers me a lot, because leadership is one of my interests. And when I see leaders who don't lead in the right way, so to say, or they don't have the interest of the people at heart, you just get to wonder what is really happening. But anyway, I appreciate the fact that you also acknowledge that this model can fit to that.
Yes, very much so.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mercy.
All right, thank you so much. A very big round of applause to our last trainer for today. Thank you so much, Ore, for an excellent delivery. I actually enjoyed every bit of your session. Please, a round of applause to her. Thank you so much, everyone. And then thank you, everyone, for standing by from the time you joined up till this moment. The class wouldn't hold without any of you. So thank you for sticking by. And if you are on the call and you are yet to fill up the attendance link or the attendance form, please check in the chat room. The link has been sent to the chat room. Kindly fill it up, as well as the feedback form. Please, we implore that every one of you fill up the feedback form. This will enable us to improve on our delivery. Okay, please kindly do that now, and then indicate in the chat room done. Once you are done filling up the feedback, please type done. Let's just use 1 minute to do that. I'm going to be posting that again. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Pretty Beauty. Then if you are on the call and you have not yet registered for this course, registration is still ongoing. So we ask that you register for this course so that we'll have your data in our database, all right? Thank you so much for that. And then for some of us who are yet to pay up our registration fee, we've extended the deadline for registration fee payment. Please do well to pay up your registration fee and then send us your proof of payment while you await the response from us along with your receipt. Thank you so much again. And then for this very course, and the one we handled today, the material is going to be sent to you immediately after the class, while the recording is going to be sent to you in the coming week. I believe this is understood. So this class holds every Saturday from the hours of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Nigerian time. So we implore everyone that please always be available on time. If we have you on time on the call, it means we are going to end at the exact time we are going to end early. All right, so we ask that you adhere to all of this and then follow us on all of our social media handles, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Subscribe to our YouTube page, comment, mention Transformation College, tell people about us. We need your engagement. Thank you so much, Mr. Rick. Thank you, everyone. I think this is the very last of the announcement. And from here, I would once again say thank you for joining us and do have a very, very beautiful weekend. And we will see again by next week, same time. Bye for now.